Now New Oasis for Life. Part 1. Xiefeng. The type of faith will decide the type of soul. The type of soul will decide the type of culture. And the type of culture will decide the way of life and production and the operation mechanism of society. The cultural construction in the second home of Life Genuine has a direct bearing upon our way of life and production and operation mechanism of society, and has a direct bearing upon whether we can ascend to the highest realm of life and realize our ultimate ideal. The paramount principle for the cultural construction of the second home is the building of great faith, the great faith in Buddha and the greatest creator, the great faith in Jesus Christ, Buddha Sakyamuni, immortal Lao Tzu, the Prophet Muhammad, and the great man Mao Zedong, and the great faith in the guide Xiefeng. Without these three great faiths, it will be impossible to build healthy culture, and people will lose their direction and will fall asunder and plunge into chaos. The resulting internal strife will waste time, energy, material, and mental efforts. As a result, it will be impossible to pioneer the era of Life Genuine, in which the worthy person can fully utilize his talents. The whole world is like one family. No one will keep lost articles found on the roadside, and the houses need not be bolted at night, in which everything will be in complete harmony. The weather will be good for harvest, and everyone will be happy, free, and pleasant, and in which all methods are unified into one general principle and all religions are unified into one uniform religion. What is great faith? Great faith is complete belief and trust without any suspicion. Great faith means trusting what you understand and what you do not understand for the moment. Every Chanyuan celestial must read The Greatest Creator thoroughly and then read Revelation in connection with his or her life experience so as to build great faith in the greatest Creator. Without the great faith, it is like water without source and wood without root. Every Chanyuan celestial must read Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and Gospel of Judas, and have profound knowledge of Diamond Sutra, Heart Sutra, and Tao Te Ching. Worship Muhammad and Islamic spirit, learn Mao Zedong's spirit of serving the people with heart and soul, form the most sublime wish and build the great faith in Jesus Christ, Sakyamuni, Lao Tzu, Muhammad, and Mao Zedong. Every Chanyuan celestial should read Chanyuan Corpus and Xiefeng Corpus thoroughly, know about the guide Xiefeng, and build the great faith in the guide Xiefeng. You can ask yourself who in this world can inherit and carry forward the wisdom of God, Buddha, celestial being, sages, and saints in a comparatively systematic and complete manner. Comparison can tell who is superior and who is inferior. You can make a comparison of all people in the history of mankind and all people of the present time. If any one of them can surpass Xiefeng in words and actions, then you can abandon the guide Xiefeng immediately. Faith is truth. Love is life. Faith can accomplish everything. Small faith accomplishes small thing. Great faith accomplishes great thing. Without faith, one will not know what course to take and will accomplish nothing. Comparison can tell who is superior and who is inferior. You can make a comparison of all people in the history of mankind and all people of the present time. If any one of them can surpass Xiefeng in words and actions, then you can abandon the guide Xiefeng immediately. 杂文篇，树立大信第二家园文化建设。一 Build great faith cultural building of the second home, now New Oasis for Life. Part 1. Xiefeng. The type of faith will decide the type of soul. The type of soul will decide the type of culture. And the type of culture will decide the way of life and production and the operation mechanism of society. The cultural construction in the second home of Life Genuine has a direct bearing upon our way of life and production and operation mechanism of society, and has a direct bearing upon whether we can ascend to the highest realm of life and realize our ultimate ideal. The paramount principle for the cultural construction of the second home is the building of great faith, the great faith in Buddha and the greatest creator, the great faith in Jesus Christ, Buddha Sakyamuni, immortal Lao Tzu, the Prophet Muhammad, and the great man Mao Zedong, and the great faith in the guide Xiefeng. Without these three great faiths, it will be impossible to build healthy culture, and people will lose their direction and will fall asunder and plunge into chaos. The resulting internal strife will waste time, energy, material, and mental efforts. As a result, it will be impossible to pioneer the era of Life Genuine, in which the worthy person can fully utilize his talents. The whole world is like one family. No one will keep lost articles found on the roadside, and the houses need not be bolted at night, in which everything will be in complete harmony. The weather will be good for harvest, and everyone will be happy, free, and pleasant, and in which all methods are unified into one general principle and all religions are unified into one uniform religion. What is great faith? Great faith is complete belief and trust without any suspicion. Great faith means trusting what you understand and what you do not understand for the moment. Every Chanyuan celestial must read The Greatest Creator thoroughly and then read Revelation in connection with his or her life experience so as to build great faith in the greatest Creator. Without the great faith, it is like water without source and wood without root. Every Chanyuan celestial must read Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and Gospel of Judas, and have profound knowledge of Diamond Sutra, Heart Sutra, and Tao Te Ching. Worship Muhammad and Islamic spirit, learn Mao Zedong's spirit of serving the people with heart and soul, form the most sublime wish and build the great faith in Jesus Christ, Sakyamuni, Lao Tzu, Muhammad, and Mao Zedong. Every Chanyuan celestial should read Chanyuan Corpus and Xiefeng Corpus thoroughly, know about the Guide Xiefeng, and build the great faith in the Guide Xiefeng. You can ask yourself who in this world can inherit and carry forward the wisdom of God, Buddha, celestial being, sages, and saints in a comparatively systematic and complete manner. Comparison can tell who is superior and who is inferior. You can make a comparison of all people in the history of mankind and all people of the present time. If any one of them can surpass Xiefeng in words and actions, then you can abandon the Guide Xiefeng immediately. Faith is truth. Love is life. Faith can accomplish everything. Small faith accomplishes small thing. Great faith accomplishes great thing. Without faith, one will not know what course to take and will accomplish nothing. Comparison can tell who is superior and who is inferior. You can make a comparison of all people in the history of mankind and all people of the present time. If any one of them can surpass Xiefeng in words and actions, then you can abandon the Guide Xiefeng immediately. Faith is truth. Love is life. Faith can accomplish everything. Small faith accomplishes small thing. Great faith accomplishes great thing. Without faith, one will not know what course to take and will accomplish nothing. With great faith, you can overcome all difficulties and hardships in life. You can light up the magical lamp in your heart and illuminate the road ahead. You can get rid of passivity, pessimism, and form a positive and optimistic attitude. And you can pursue the sun and get away from darkness, and finally reach the soul mountain indomitably. We should build this cultural atmosphere, namely the great faith in the greatest Creator, the great faith in Jesus Christ, Buddha Sakyamuni, the immortal Lao Tzu, the Prophet Muhammad, and the great man Mao Zedong, and the great faith in the Guide of Life Chanyuan Xiefeng. This is the core of culture building of the second home. 长心存感激，第二家园文化建设。2. Be always grateful cultural building of the second home, now new oasis for life. Part 2. Xiefeng. Gratitude is the primary element for the sublimation of the quality of life. To become Chanyuan celestial, one must be grateful. To enter the second home, one must be grateful. How can one not be grateful for escaping the program of the secular world and enjoying the great pleasure of life in the second home? What else do we want? The second home takes charge of our food, clothing, shelter, transportation, living, aging, illness, and health, and we need not toil and worry about supporting the old and raising the young. Our work is simple, and we need not be overloaded with trifles. With a lot of sisters, brothers, and lovers, we are no longer lonely and solitary. With free and open love, we are no longer depressed, melancholy, and distressed. Since we have achieved the state of having nothing and at the same time possessing everything, we need no longer worry about possession. Since we have the stage to fully exhibit our personality and talent, we no longer need to fear that our talent will not be put to good use. Since we are far away from the secular world, we no longer feel anxious about the intrigue, scheming, and cheating between each other. Since we have our guide to lead us, we need not worry about the future of our life. What else do we want? Man should not be greedy. Do you think there is an end to it if you still feel unsatisfied when living in such a cultural atmosphere and environment? Still feel that you have not treated yourself fairly, still dislike this or that, still make endless complaints, and find faults with everything? Without a sense of gratitude, You will have an insatiable desire. You will feel unsatisfied. You will grumble with complaints. You will make trouble. You will become lazy. You will be fastidious. You will have a bee in your bonnet. You will feel only you are capable. You will feel others owe you a lot. You will complain and find faults. You will try to control and hold others in sway. You will stir up trouble and sow discord between people. You will hurt others in words. You will cause endless trouble and suffering to your sisters, brothers, and lovers, and you will not be able to concentrate on your work. With a sense of gratitude, you will have a clear consciousness and mind. You will not ask for too much. You will not keep your eyes on other people's shortcomings. You will not loaf around without anything to do and without anything on mind. You will not attempt to control and usurp others. You will not attempt to impose your own will upon others. You will not restrict others' joy, happiness, blessing, and freedom. You will not have jealousy, complaint, and comparison. You will not lose temper and have a lot of discontent and grievances. You will not feel that others are bullying and restraining you, and you will not be disheartened and listless when you meet some setbacks. With a sense of gratitude, you will bring joy and pleasure to others and yourself. You will not feel the poverty and hardship of life. You will not feel depression. You will feel everything is wonderful and satisfying. You will be broad-minded and refreshed. You will have unselfish love and devotion. You will always compliment and encourage others instead of finding fault and complaining to others. You will be forgiving and tolerant to others' mistake and faults. You will form harmonious, amiable, and loving relationship with the environment and people, and you will have great enthusiasm and passion and devote completely to the cause of man's happiness. Before we realize our ideals, we should always keep in mind that none of us is perfect and we all need further sublimation, and that we should not stop at where we were yesterday. Since neither we ourselves nor others are perfect, we should forgive and tolerate each other, while tolerance derives from the gratitude in our soul. The sense of gratitude in every Chanyuan celestial should be a cultural characteristic of the second home. As long as we have a sense of gratitude, there will be no mountain of flame that we cannot climb across, there will be no difficulty that we cannot overcome, and there will be no temporary plight that we cannot put up with, because the sense of gratitude can reach heaven and earth and human nature. As long as we have the sense of gratitude, we will get the love from Buddha and the greatest creator, and we can get out of the temporary plight and change for the better. Be always grateful over everything, and eventually you will reach your ideal destination. 坦诚直言，第二家园文化建设三 Be frank and honest cultural building of the second home. Now New Oasis for Life, Part 3. Xiefeng. We should put an end to autocracy and dictatorship. We shall make sure that all kind, hardworking, simple, and faithful people enjoy pleasant, joyful, free, and happy life. And we will build a good culture and environment where there is no oppression, no exploitation, no suppression, no destruction, no maltreatment, no infliction, and no discrimination, where all people are equal. People care and love each other and live harmoniously, and where people share weal and woe. Firstly, people who speak frankly shall not be subject to revenge and retaliation and threat. Anyone who has some opinion to contribute shall be encouraged, respected, heard, and paid attention to, as long as he is speaking the truth, as long as he is not deliberately provocative and does not make groundless speculation, as long as he is not unreasonable and does not talk nonsense, as long as he does not aim to stir up trouble and instigate, as long as he does not create difficulties and form a clique to pursue selfish interest, as long as he does not attack for personal spite, as long as he does not expose others' privacy and land them in an embarrassing situation. Since the guide Xiefeng plays a critical role in this second home of ours, and I myself is not perfect, you should be strict with me, so that you can prevent the guide from becoming an unsatiable autocrat and destroying this beautiful home that has been built with your hard work. Every sister, brother, and lover should speak out frankly, help me, and save me instead of fomenting my mistakes whenever he or she discovers that I practice favoritism, that I take advantage of my power to bully people, that I maltreat any Chanyuan celestial, that I deviate from the values of Chanyuan, that I reserve privileges for myself, that I threaten or harm anybody, or that I have caused the harm of spirit, soul, and flesh to any sister or brother. If my words and behaviors have offended you, please point them out frankly, And do not let me be misled and mistakenly think that you like my words and behaviors to such an extent that I become swellhead and always have my way. Please tell me frankly if I have not handled affairs fairly, if I take part with someone, or if I practice bureaucratism and oppression. If I retaliate somebody for his frankness, then I have degenerated into a demon. Then the guide has lost his reason and is not worth trusting. We should speak frankly about the guide. We should also speak frankly about every Chanyuan celestial in the home. No one in this home can be left out. Everyone should accept others' frank opinion. Anyone who harbors discontent and hatred for others' kind and frank words and resort to retaliation is not sincerely engaging in self-refinery and self-cultivation, and thus should be criticized by the guide. The best way for frank speech is to reserve one night every week for a meeting of exchange in the home. Everyone shall speak frankly in the public if they have some opinions concerning some matter, if they feel that they are wronged, if they feel that they are not treated fairly, if they feel that they have sustained someone's maltreatment and harms to their spirit, soul, and flesh, or if they find that the sister or brother of the home has deviated the values of Chanyuan in speech and actions. All problems should be resolved publicly instead of privately. We should build a culture in which everyone can speak frankly. We Chanyuan Celestials should all be superhuman. He will not be a qualified Chanyuan Celestial and a frank person if he does not speak frankly about the wrongs, unfair treatment, and oppression he has suffered. A person who does not speak frankly is absolutely not an honest person. He is either a cunning and sly double dealer or a good-for-nothing. With the exception of privacies, everything in the second home should be transparent and exposed to the sunlight. Otherwise, it will be difficult for us to create the era of life genuine for mankind, and we will not be entitled to guide the whole mankind. Privileged class and special interest groups are not allowed in the second home. At the same time, we should not practice egalitarianism, because we have the noblest wish in self-refinery and self-cultivation, and everything that we do is for the sake of perfecting ourselves and reaching the best realm of life and life. We do not aim to obtain any personal benefit and interest from the home. Open the windows and the sunlight and fresh air will come in. Take a broad view, and you will see faraway mountains are fresh and green. If everybody speaks frankly, the dark cloud will be dispersed and decay will be turned into miracle. Then we can create an ideal environment and a beautiful future, set an example for mankind, and eventually realize our most beautiful future. 情爱性爱自由第二家园文化建设4 Freedom of emotional love and sex love. Cultural building of the second home. Now new oasis for life. Part 4. Xiefeng. February 22, 2010. Emotional love is the precious gift endowed to mankind by the greatest creator. Sex love is the highest order of game, as well as an effective initial approach to become a Buddhist believer, to gain enlightenment and reach the realm of Elysium. Fully enjoying emotional love and sex love accords the will of the greatest creator and is a part of beautiful life that cannot be ignored and expropriated. It is an important connotation of the culture building of the second home to ensure that everyone fully enjoys emotional love and sex love and protect everyone's freedom to fully enjoy emotional and sex love. Any suppression or expropriation of this freedom is inhuman and goes against the will of the greatest creator. There is no family, no marriage, and husband-wife relationship in the second home. Once inside the second home, everyone is free and is free from any bondage and shackles in the matter of emotional love and sex love. On the basis of mutual consent and within the code of civility, one will not be subject to any form of restraint and supervision in his or her emotional life and sex life. Anyone who attempts to limit and supervise others' freedom of emotional love and sex love has deviated the values of Chanyuan and will not be entitled to live in the second home. No one should usurp or control others. No one should treat others as his or her private properties. No one should interfere in others' emotional love and sex love. No one should expropriate others' freedom of emotional love and sex love. In other fields of life, we should get rid of the consciousness of feudal autocracy, eliminate oppression and private ownership. In the field of spirit, soul, and flesh, we should also get rid of the consciousness of feudal autocracy, eliminate oppression and private ownership. Jealousy indicates the ugliness of one's soul. Jealousy, complaints, resentment, and hatred manifested in emotional and sex love are the symbols of an ugly soul. It is morally criminal to restrict, control, monitor, supervise, and hinder others' freedom of emotional love and sex love out of jealousy. In the second home, any form of emotional and sex love is free. One is free to live all by himself. Point two, people are free to live together faithfully and refrain from any emotional and sexual relations with any third person. One is also free to have more than one emotional and sexual partners. One is also free to have unlimited number of emotional and sexual partners. Everything goes on in accordance with one's own free will. This is private affair, not public affair. The second home respects everyone's will, personality, and hobbies. No one should impose his or her will and values upon others. Those who like bread should not limit other people's like for noodles. Those who do not like apples should not forbid others to eat apples. The home encourages the blooming of all flowers, like the 8 celestial beings that each display their own special skills in crossing the sea. The home provides the stage for the full and comprehensive blooming of gorgeous flowers of human characters. For thousands of years in human history, as a result of erroneous consciousness of emotional love and sex love and artificial limitation, improper moral norms and commandments have been established in different countries, causing countless people to have been treated unfairly. Human character has been severely suppressed. The originally beautiful things have been messed up. Actually, very simple things have been complicated. Things that are pure and noble in nature have been treated as humble and dirty. What should have been a comedy turned out to be a tragedy. Such situations should not continue. The original purity and simplicity of things should be restored so that everyone can fully enjoy the pleasure of emotional love and sex love, and everyone leads a happy, pleasant, free, and blessed life. And this is an important part of our culture building. Since man is still in the backward and ignorant state at present, in the situation of competition and struggle governed by the rule of jungles, and in the war of survival centering on the selfish possession of resources, we face severe challenge and difficulty in building a culture that makes sure everyone fully enjoys emotional and sex love. The road ahead is fraught with twists and turns and great risks. Without a firm will, one is likely to be swallowed up by the secular outlook on emotional love and sex love at any time. The wind and waves of the secular world may overturn our boat of new culture. However, the society is moving forward, people are awakening, and more people have realized that the traditional views on emotional love and sex love have caused great misfortune and pain to mankind, especially to individuals. We firmly believe that as long as we stick to our belief, and as long as we are patient, the new culture of the second home is bound to be widely accepted by people. A brand new way of life will bring happiness and light to mankind, and the Life-Genuine era surely come to us. 信靠家园，第二家园文化建设。5. Believe in and rely on the home, cultural building of the second home, now new oasis for life. Part 5. Xiefeng. At home we rely on our parents, in the society we depend on our friends. This is one part of the traditional culture. To survive and develop in the actual human society, people mainly depend on interpersonal relations, parents, husband, wife, children, sisters and brothers, relatives and friends, classmates and associates, leaders and subordinates, and so on. As a result, the relations between people become extremely complicated and entangled. If anything adverse happens to the relation that you depend on, it may trigger a series of interpersonal disputes and emotional turmoil, concessions, resignation to exploitation, suppression and depression, oppression and exploitation, jealousy and complaint, resentment, intrigue against each other, scheming against each other, contention, flattery, cheating, rising to bait, anger and revenge, abuse and maltreatment, mental torture, control of the soul, and the like. Once you change and place your trust on the second home, all these ugly phenomena will disperse like dark clouds. Every Chanyuan Celestial's food, clothing, shelter, transportation, living, health and diseases are taken care of by the home. The elderly people are supported by the home. The children are raised and educated by the home, and the freedom of emotional love and sex love is guaranteed by the home. The home provides the stage for every Chanyuan Celestial to fully exhibit their ambition and talent. Thus, We can surely shift from our dependence on interpersonal relations in the traditional culture to the dependence on the home. Accordingly, interpersonal relations will become pure and simple, natural and harmonious. People will live in happiness and love. We should build our belief in and dependence on the greatest creator, the home, and ourselves. We should not believe in and depend on man. Belief in and dependence on man will lead to tragedy of life and a series of bewilderment and pain. Belief in and dependence on man will prove to be our own and others' encumbrance and spiritual burden. Belief in and dependence on man will surely make one become the servant and sacrifice of others and make it impossible to lead a life of one's own. How do we believe in and depend on the home? We shall regard the home as the place where we can settle down and lead a quiet life, as the stage where we can fully utilize our talents, as the best environment where we can obtain joy, happiness, freedom, and blessing, and as the fertile soil where we can bring into full play our sincerity, kindnesses, virtue, love, faith, and honesty. We shall regard each Chanyuan celestial as our sister's brother, relative, and lover. Love the home, unselfishly devote one's talent and wisdom to the home, carefully and conscientiously do every job that one has chosen in the home according to one's interest and hobbies, strive to do his or her best and achieve the best performance, contribute every day to the home more than one gets from it. Meanwhile, continuously sublimate the quality of life, perfect his or her own non-material structure of life, continuously make way to the highest realm of life and realize one foot long cherished wish and ideal. How can we believe in and depend on the home? Upholding 800 values for new era human being is the fundamental guarantee for the realization of the wish of the individual and the ideal of the home. 除贪腐懒奢思，第二家园文化建设六 Eliminate greed, corruption, laziness, extravagance, and selfishness cultural building of the second home. Now New Oasis for Life, Part 6. Xiefeng. Corruption, embezzlement, laziness, extravagance, selfishness, and waste are the archenemy of civilization, are the character and behavior of demons, are the cancer on the body, are the viruses of depravity and the cozy home, are the pathway to evils, are the poison that erodes the beautiful soul, and are the undercurrent, reef, and quicksand that hinder man's evolution toward the era of life Changyuan. In order that we can create a cultural environment in which everyone is joyful, happy, free, and blessed, in order to ensure that man and nature and man live in harmony and peace, and in order to realize the most beautiful wish and most sublime ideal of man, we should prevent the occurrence of corruption, embezzlement, laziness, extravagance, selfishness, and waste. We should thoroughly get rid of the soil for the breeding and growth of these six evils. Otherwise, the mansion of civilization will collapse because it is built on the fluctuating quicksand. First, every Chanyuan celestial must understand that, no matter how much sweat and effort we have made for the home, and no matter how much contribution we have made to the home, our purpose is to pay back our debts accumulated over different lives and build up the wealth and treasure for our journey to the heavenly kingdom, instead of acquiring more benefits and interest from the home than ordinary Chanyuan celestial. Any contribution and devotion should not be an excuse for our corruption, embezzlement, laziness, extravagance, selfishness, and waste in the second home, and should not be a bargaining counter and standard for the formation of the special interest group that stands high above the masses. Everything in the second home belongs to all Chanyuan celestials. Anyone will be suspected of waste if he or she has exceeded basic standard in the aspect of food, clothing, shelter, and transportation and has hindered the principle of full utilization of resources and man's talents. Anyone will be suspected of waste if he or she has exceeded basic standard in the aspect of food, clothing, shelter, and transportation and has hindered the principle of full utilization of resources and man's talents. How can we prevent the occurrence of corruption, embezzlement, laziness, extravagance, selfishness, and waste in the second home? First, we should constantly learn and understand 800 values for new era human being. We should always uphold the 800 values and make sure that every Chanyuan celestial living permanently or temporarily in the home builds the most noble wish, sets up the great and lofty ideal, cultivates noble moral character, sublimates the realm of life, exhibits the sincerity, kindness, virtue, love, faith, and honesty in the depth of soul, willingly and voluntarily learn and follows the example of saints, lights up the magical lamp in the mind, constantly remains alert and prevents himself or herself from depravity, and establishes a moral cord in his or her own conscience and make a judgment of oneself. Secondly, we should eliminate the private ownership, guarantee that everyone has nothing but owns everything, solve for everyone the issue of food, clothing, shelter, transportation, living, aging, and death, solve the issue of supporting the old people and raising and educating the children, solve the issue of physiological need, enrich spiritual and cultural life, and promote the taste of life. At the same time, we should do away with the soil for the contention of power, interests, positions, money, fame, and beautiful women, and make sure that there is no power worth contending for, no special position available for occupation, no money available for embezzlement, no fame for people to capitalize on, and no beauty to be privately possessed. Thirdly, every Chanyuan celestial shall exercise the right to be the master of the home and have the freedom of speech. Everyone can speak freely, and we should not limit the freedom of speech. We should not take revenge on and punish those who speak out their opinions. Every week a special meeting of exchange shall be held for everyone to expose the corruption, embezzlement, laziness, extravagance, selfishness, and waste that has occurred in the home. We should check the erroneous ideas at the outset. When any trace of such trend is discovered, it should be checked and banished timely. We should uphold the principle that the criticism shall be aimed at affairs rather than at a certain person. We should have a strict attitude to affairs, but a gentle attitude to people. We should not casually apply principles to anything. We should not casually mete out punishment. We should always remember that none of us is perfect, and that everyone is likely to commit mistakes. We should make sure that those people who have made mistakes have enough time to repent and correct their mistakes and improve their character. We should forgive those who have made mistakes, and always bear in mind that every Chanyuan celestial is our sister, brother, relative, and lover instead of our competitor or enemy. No matter whether the home is in favorable or adverse situation, it should consistently combat corruption, embezzlement, laziness, extravagance, selfishness, and waste, and eliminate the soil, climate, environment, and condition for the birth of these six evils in the home's operation procedure of production and life. Only in this way can we create a comfortable, harmonious, lively, and energetic situation of production and life, where unified will exist together with pleasant individual feeling. Only in this way can we shoulder the task of creating the era of life genuine for mankind and pilot the era of life genuine for mankind. Only in this way can we reach the highest realm of life and arrive at the ultimate destination of life and life. 谨守自然之道，第二家园文化建设七 Stick to the way of nature cultural building of the second home, now new oasis for life. Part 7. Xiefeng, February 2nd, 2010. The main path is easy to walk on, yet people love the small bypaths. Tao is worshipped and Te is exalted, without anyone's order, but is so of its own accord. Tao models itself after nature. Tao Te Ching. The way of the greatest creator is the way of nature, and the way of nature is the union between man and the universe, the union of different methods, the way of being a man, the way of light, the way of great peace, the way of joy, pleasure, freedom, and happiness, and the easiest, simplest, and nearest and cheapest way to the 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, Elysium world, and the celestial island continent. Adherence to the way of nature is a distinguishing feature of the culture of the second home. How can we adhere to the way of nature? Everything and every phenomenon in nature is the cell and word of the greatest creator. We should hold nature in esteem and awe, love nature. We should not damage nature. We should blend into nature and live in harmony with nature and share prosperity with nature. The universe and nature is the palace hall of the greatest creator. Therefore, the second home will not build churches, temples, monasteries, and other places for the worshiping of the greatest creator. Worshipping nature is worshipping the greatest creator, and showing awe and respect to nature is showing awe and respect to the greatest creator. The second home shall not make sculptures and carvings for the worshipping of the greatest creator. Worshipping everything and every phenomenon in nature is worshipping the greatest creator. Feel the gratitude for the greatest creator from the depth of heart. Spurn different forms of worshipping, burn no incense, no paper money, and do not kowtow. Do not use animal or any other creatures as offerings and sacrifices. Begin labor at the rise of the sun, and stop at the setting of the sun. Get up at dawn and clean the courtyard. Rear, survive, live, and die according to the law of nature. With the exception of Tomb Sweeping Day, Dragon Boat Festival, Mid-Autumn Festival, Spring Festival, and the like, which are closely associated with nature, the second home does not celebrate any other man-made holidays. Have dinner when one feels hungry and go to sleep when one feels tired. When cultivating oneself, Chanyuan Celestial follows the law of nature. Chanyuan Celestials will have meal when they feel hungry, go to sleep when they feel tired, engage in entertainment when he has a desire for it, and go to work when it is time for it. They will not break the law of nature or build luxury dwelling places. They will be thrifty in food and do not eat rare and expensive delicacies. They do not value objects difficult to obtain. They do not wear diamond rings, do not envy man-made works of art, do not cultivate magical arts, do not pursue special skills, do not seek shortcuts. They spurn any form of cultivation that is against the law of nature. What one says should be based on facts. What one does should be based on scientific and objective laws. What one reasons should be based on logic. Give up any form of superstition, such as dialogue with deity, communion with higher soul, speaking via deities, and talking in the name of the greatest creator, God, and spirits. Do not practice magic and wonder. Do not show off special skills. Do not pass on strange tales. Do not pass off as Jesus Christ or Buddha. Keep a distance from ghosts and deities. Do not tell fortunes. Do not make predictions. Do not practice the ritual of expelling the ghost and calling back the spirit of the dead. Do not practice witchery. Do not practice theurgy. And do not wear special garments and accessories that mark one's statuses. Be natural in everything and free from any affectedness. The more prohibitions there are, the poorer the people become. The sharper weapons there are, the greater the chaos in the state. The more skills of technique, the more cunning things are produced. The greater the number of statutes, the greater the number of thieves and brigands. Tao Te Ching. Therefore, on the basis of observing rules, we should break with any taboo. The home does not possess any other devices, except for those used in production, life, and entertainment, does not produce and possess swords, spears, and other weapons, does not encourage people to learn strange skills, and does not make rules and statutes. Everything follows the law of nature. Tao models itself after nature. Therefore, following the way of nature and upholding the way of nature means following the way of the greatest creator and following the way of life. The way of nature is like the bright sunlight of spring, with good weather and fresh breeze and good luck and harmony. The way of nature is simple and easy to carry out, and will become brighter and brighter, more and more noble, and more perfect. The way of nature is not only the way of man, but also the way of celestial being. As long as we stick to and follow the way of nature, in the long term we will most certainly attain deity celestial being and super celestial being. 个体自由的八大标准 8 criteria for individual freedom. Xiefeng, September 18, 2008. Translated by Treasure and edited by Care. An advancing life ascends from the realm of necessity toward that of freedom, while a regressive one retreats in the opposite direction. If we want to climb to a higher level space of life, we must strive to move toward the free kingdom. What are the criteria for complete freedom of the individual? In other words, what criteria do individuals need to achieve the realm of freedom? Sexual freedom, lack of responsibilities and obligations, lack of cares, lack of close personal relationships, no one to answer for you, no answering for anyone else, doing as you wish without overstepping basic law, managing and governing yourself. We will examine each in detail. Sexual freedom. As long as an individual and their partner are willing, when and how they make love should be their unrestricted decision. Only common sense manners should dictate the proper time and place. Lack of responsibilities and obligations. Just as flowers grow, bloom, and pollinate, Everything is natural and voluntary, not forced by responsibilities or obligations. Once there are even the least number of responsibilities and obligations, freedom is lost. A newborn baby lives on milk and its mother gives her breast, but this is natural and voluntary, brings pleasure to both, and is not done out of responsibility. Lack of cares, own nothing, own everything. Act freely and have no cares. Once you care for something, your freedom is lost. Lack of close personal relationships. Once you have close familial relationships, you have obligations and responsibilities, and once you have friends and lovers, you have to care for them. Therefore, friends, relatives, and lovers are obstacles to freedom. No one to answer for you. You need to solve your own problems and expect no one to solve them for you. Deal with your own necessities of life, such as food, clothing, shelter, transportation, birth, old age, illness, and death naturally and with neither regrets nor complaints. Do not answer for anyone. Answer to the greatest creator and for yourself, but not to anyone else. Doing as you wish without overstepping basic law. Do as you wish, but never overstep the basic law. You can do as you wish, but always revere the greatest creator. Revere life, revere nature, and never harm life or nature. Managing and governing yourself. As long as one is managed, supervised, governed, or controlled by others, they have no freedom. This means that individuals who have reached the highest level of quality and accomplishment will have achieved the highest realm of civilization, so they will not need to be managed, supervised, governed, or controlled by others because they will naturally interact with others, both harmoniously and efficiently. 去天国路线图 The Roadmap to Heaven by Xiefeng, May 7, 2006. Living on Earth? Follow the teachings of Jesus, Sakyamuni, Muhammad, Lao Tzu in science. Enter Life Changyuan. Study Life Changyuan values. Become a Chanyuan celestial. Unconventional thinking. Purify one's soul. Shift consciousness and change one's life structure. Enter the new oasis for life. Meet the standard of Thousand-Year World. Understanding the major 8 ways of thinking. Meet the standard of 10,000-Year World. Understanding the 8 secrets of life. Go to Elysium World. Description. When you still live on the earth. 1. You first need to learn and understand the wisdom and teachings of Jesus, Sakyamuni, Muhammad, and Lao Tzu, and study scientific knowledge, on which basis enter Life Changyuan. Study and understand the contents in Chanyuan Corpus and Xiefeng Corpus. Also listen to the thoughts of Chanyuan masters and learn their wisdom. Point 2. Try to become a Chanyuan celestial after that. Once you are a Chanyuan celestial, you must train yourself to think in an unconventional way. Breaking all superstitions and shackles that confine human nature, gradually get away from the bondage that the ideas of traditional family, country, political party, and religion have on your mind, and consciously sweep the dust and stains on your soul just like wiping off the dust on a mirror. Let your mind and behaviors exhibit towards the direction of sincerity, kindness, beauty, love, faith, and honesty. Point 3. Then we need work hard on the core of self-cultivation, putting efforts on shifting our consciousness, let our mind go into non-material world. Although our body residence on the earth, our mind stays in heaven. From this step, we can further come to the new oasis for life. Experience the new lifestyle copied from Thousand-Year World. Point 4. Finally, practice Chanyuan meditation. In this way, you can be ensured to go to the Thousand-Year World. If you want to go to 10,000-Year World instead, you need to grasp the secrets of 8 ways of thinking, and you can surely go to the 10,000-Year World. However, if you don't want to stop there, you need to understand the 8 secrets of life thoroughly. Once you reach that stage, you are able to go to Elysium World at any time. The theory is just simple as that, and the roadmap is very clear, but it is not easy to really follow it and meet the standard. 全球对共产主义的误解太深. The Great Global Misunderstanding of Communism. Xiefeng. Translated by Treasure and edited by Care. Western society regards communism as an evil beast, while Oriental society misunderstands communism as sharing property and people. But a true communist society is actually a utopia, the great harmony, and a nickname of the kingdom of the greatest creator. This misunderstanding was rooted in the wrongdoing of global communist parties from the birth of Marxism. The mistakes of the whole Communist International and the failure of really understanding the essence of communism by Lenin and Mao led to highly flawed executions. Communist society is the most humane, which should be realized by its lack of pain to any individual from the starting point. Real communism cannot be illustrated by the dictatorship of the proletariat or the theory of class warfare and does not support power from the barrel of a gun. New Oasis for Life of Life Genuine is a real communist society. We never apply dictatorship or the theory of class struggle, nor share possessions or partners, not even to deprive capitalists of their property. It was voluntarily built up by all the members, by moistening the honey and the dew of silent love. This fact speaks louder than words. Its illustration is the best touchstone. Communism is not an evil beast, but a real paradise in the mortal world. Just to look up the history and life mode of New Oasis for Life, and you will understand real communism. 孔子可以休息了. Confucius should retire. Zufeng, December 30th, 2014. Translated by Treasure and edited by Care. Confucius is most worthy of respect as a Chinese national thinker and moral leader. His educational theories are especially praiseworthy. However, it would be more of a disaster than a blessing for China to continue regarding him as a saint and promoting him as such to the outside world. First of all, Confucius understood benevolence, righteousness, courtesy, wisdom, and credibility, and to be gentle, benign, modest, thrifty, and courteous, but he had no regard for Tao. That is to say, Confucius focused only on the branches and leaves, but attached no significance to the roots. However hard he tried, he never strove to reach the faith nor the virtue of being a mortal human. This is why he had regrets, as can be inferred from the Analects of Confucius. Li Ran, namely that having heard Tao in the morning, one may die content in the evening. Confucius never understands Tao, even to his death. Secondly, Confucius despised laborers and regarded them as inferior beings. It was written in the Analects of Confucius. Zilu, that his student, Fanshi once suggested to Confucius that he should learn to plant crops, but Confucius answered him, I am not as good as the farmers. Once again Fanshi asked him to learn to grow vegetables, but Confucius again answered him, I am not as good as vegetable growers. After Fanshi exited, Confucius denigrated him by saying, what an inferior person Fanshi is. Superior people can be courteous, but ordinary people will have to revere them. Superior people can be righteous, but ordinary people will have to obey them. And superior people can be credible, but common people will certainly love them. In that way, the common people will always take refuge with their own children. So why would I ever need to, or want to do as they do, to plant crops? How can one who looks down upon the laborers bring blessings China? Worse than that, Confucius was unkind. When Fanshi asked him for advice, not only did Confucius not facilitate his student earnestly and patiently to his face, but he even belittled his student as being inferior. Does this kind of teacher deserve to be one at all? As he was wrong macroscopically, it would be to no avail, no matter how hard he strove. He was confused macroscopically, but prudent microscopically. With the development of modern society, Confucius needs to retire. 人生和生命的价值和意义. The values and meanings of life and life. Xiefeng, February 17th, 2008. Translated by Transin and edited by Care. Life and life are two different concepts. They are interrelated, but fundamentally different. Life is that part of life which exists during its journey through the mortal world. Life is temporary, but life is eternal. Life is a chapter in the long river of life. Life is a series extending outward from the origin of the universe to infinite time and space. Life can come to an end at any time, but life can never end, even with the ending of life. The life of life is over, but life itself will always continue to exist in other forms. Therefore, the values and the meanings of life are different from those of life. If you confuse the values and meanings of life with the value and meaning of life, then you are likely to have a confused life. The values of life are to serve for life, to pay off debts, to improve your life structure, to make life happy, joyous, free, and blessed. and to make it extend to higher space. The meanings of life are to create wealth and joy, to serve oneself, others, and the community. The values of life are to serve the greatest creator, to serve nature, and to maintain the dynamic balance of the life of the universe. The meaning of life is that the universe exists for life. Life lives for the universe. Without the universe, there would be no life, and without life, there would be no universe. So, what are the values and meanings of life and of life? If your life is happy, joyous, free, and blessed, and if you can orient your life structure toward perfection, then your life has value. If your life can create wealth and joy for yourself, for others, and for your community, then your life has meaning. If your life serves the greatest creator, serves nature, and serves other life, then your life has both value and meaning. 耶稣不是上帝. Jesus is not the greatest creator. Xiefeng. April 20th, 2006. Translated by Shidai and edited by Kair. Jesus was the greatest person in history. He was the Christ, the hope of humanity, the door to eternal life, and the son of, spokesperson for, and the road leading to the greatest creator for all kind, diligent, simple, honest, and humble people. Regardless of how much we praise Jesus, it can never be too much, but we cannot say that Jesus was or is the greatest creator. A real Christian must venerate Jesus, listen to the teachings of Jesus, and strictly behave according to Jesus' teachings. To lower or raise the status of Jesus is inexcusable. It not only blasphemes the greatest creator, but it is also a betrayal to Jesus. Furthermore, it would be the Antichrist and a sin to human beings. Jesus belongs to all human beings, not to any specific nation or religion. Jesus' teachings are for everyone. Everyone who loves Jesus, believes in Jesus, and follows Jesus' teachings is a Christian. This does not need any baptism or approval from any special anointed person or religious institution. Even the Hindu, Mahatma Gandhi said, "I love Jesus Christ." Many Buddhists also say they love Jesus. But here we shall know that Jesus is not the greatest creator. Jesus never claimed himself to be the greatest creator. He taught us again and again that we shall walk on the way of the greatest creator. Let us check the words of Jesus to verify whether or not Jesus was the greatest creator. But he said, "I must preach the good news of the kingdom of God to the other towns also, because that is why I was sent." Luke 4:43. Here, Jesus says that he was sent. If Jesus is the greatest creator, who will ask the greatest creator to do things? By myself, I can do nothing. I judge only as I hear, and my judgment is just, for I seek not to please myself, but him who sent me. John 5 verse 30. Here, Jesus clearly tells us that he came, not for his will, but for the will of the greatest creator. Anyone who speaks a word against the Son of Man will be forgiven, but anyone who speaks against the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven, either in this age or in the age to come. Matthew 12:32. Here, Jesus humbly tells us that if we speak a word against him, we can be forgiven. But if we speak words against the greatest creator, we cannot be forgiven. These words clearly show that Jesus was not the greatest creator. Then the mother of Zebedee's sons came to Jesus with her sons, and, kneeling down, asked a favor of him. "What is it you want?" he asked. She said, "Grant that one of these two sons of mine may sit at your right and the other at your left in your kingdom." "You don't know what you are asking," Jesus said to them. "Can you drink the cup I am going to drink?" "We can," they answered. Jesus said to them, "You will indeed drink from my cup, but to sit at my right or left is not for me to grant. These places belong to those for whom they have been prepared by my Father." Matthew 20:21-23. Here, Jesus directly tells us that his right was less than the greatest creators. He had no right to grant people to sit at either of his sides. If Jesus were the greatest creator, would he not have this right to grant? And at the ninth hour Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani?" Which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Mark 15 verse 34. Jesus called out with a loud voice, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." When he had said this, he breathed his last. Luke 23:46. From these words, how can we say that Jesus is the greatest creator? I also want to ask, can man condemn the greatest creator to death? Is man more powerful than the greatest creator? I still want to ask, Jesus had prayed many times. If Jesus were the greatest creator, to whom did he pray? Is there any being greater than the greatest creator? The facts prove, time and again, that Jesus was not the greatest creator. So, why do some people still claim that Jesus is the greatest creator? There is an evil purpose here, which is to raise the status of Jesus so high that it moves people farther away from the greatest creator. Since they said Jesus is the greatest creator, they shall listen to the teachings of Jesus. But no, they did not hear and follow any teachings of Jesus. They just wanted to get to their own scheme. What was the scheme? That is to praise Jesus so high with their lips that they betray Jesus and ask people to walk on the way of Satan. But what about you? He asked. Who do you say I am? Simon Peter answered, You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Matthew 16:15-16. Some Christians who praise Jesus with their lips have dishonored the real Christians. No wonder that Mahatma Gandhi said, I like your Christ. I do not like your Christians. Your Christians are so unlike your Christ. Yes, Jesus said that, I and the Father are one. John 10 verse 30. But this does not mean the Father is the Son or that the Son is the Father. It means that Jesus has been with the greatest Creator throughout many ages. It means that Jesus is the honest Son of the greatest Creator. Jesus dutifully carried out the greatest Creator's will, and what he had done were all strictly following the greatest Creator's will. From this, Jesus and the greatest Creator are always one. Jesus keeps his oneness with the greatest Creator from the beginning of time. We often speak of the unity of humanity and heaven, but it does not mean humanity and heaven are the same. 老子思想在第二家园管理中的运用. The application of Lao Tzu's thought in the management of the second home, now new oasis for life. Xiefeng, November 30th, 2010. Chanyuan Celestials in our fourth branch. The second home is the new life mode for future mankind. It is managed by the holographic thinking, whose core is conformity to the Tao, compliance with nature, absence of action, lack of contention, observance of neutrality, absence of dominance, lack of selfish desire, and enthusiasm for service. Specifically speaking, the management method of holographic thinking means following the way of the greatest creator, running everything according to the program of nature and according to man's origin of nature, avoiding the extreme employment of man's intelligence and wisdom, staying away from all measures and methods that are likely to lead to contention, argument, and fight, refraining from radical behaviors, making no rules, regulations, laws, commandments, and orders, eliminating all private ownership, and trying every effort to bring out the sincerity, kindness, beauty, faith, trust, and peace in human character. The distinction between people and people is only the difference in division of labor, and there is no relation of the managing and the managed. All are offering services to each other, and there are no such positions as the administrators. All affairs, important or not, will be handled on the basis of clear division of labor, with special persons assigned to take special responsibility for the special affairs. The management of the second home should depend fully on Lao Tzu's thought, which is represented by the following 8 points. Guidance by the saint and management by the talented. The management here only implies a difference in the division of labor instead of the difference in the status. Saint manages affairs without action, preaches the doctrine without words. All things take their rise, but he does not turn away from them. He gives them life, but does not take possession of them. He acts, but does not appropriate. Accomplishes, but claims no credit. It is because he lays claim to no credit that the credit cannot be taken away from him. Exalt not the wise, prize not rare objects, shut out from sight the things of desire, and the cunning ones shall not presume to interfere. In his dwelling the sage loves the lowly earth. In his heart he loves what is profound. In his relations with others he loves kindness. In his words he loves sincerity. In government he loves peace. In business affairs he loves ability. In his actions, he loves choosing the right time. Banish wisdom, discard knowledge. Banish humanity, discard justice. Banish cunning, discard utility. Embraces the one core principle, thinking, or method, etc., in everything you do. Eschew excess, eschew extravagance, eschew pride. Point 7. Govern the home with justice, not with human wisdom. Do away with taboos, sharp weapons, skills of technique, and statutes. 8. Despise not their dwellings, dislike not their progeny. From the above 8 points, it can be known that there should be invisible saints in the second home, who do not guide with preaching, but with wordless examples, who create things silently but do not take possession of them, and who serve all creatures but do not claim credit for their services. Do not flaunt the worthy and talented. Do not distinguish the superior from the inferior. The rarer a thing is, the less use it will be put to. Do not set up things that may stimulate a person's selfish desire. Leave no loopholes in market for the deceiving and cunning persons to act wildly against the law and public opinion. Keep a clean and tidy living environment. The people in the neighborhood should be unsophisticated and honest and sincere. People should have a kind heart and treat people kindly. They should seek truth from facts, tell things as they really are, and keep their promises. What they do should fit in with their hobbies, personalities, and special talents. Their behaviors should comply with natural laws and their actions should accord the actual situation. Give up cunningness and artfulness, stick to the way, abandon the preaching of righteousness and morality, discard skills, fame, wealth, and ranks. Make people unselfish and possess nothing. Make sure that they have nothing but actually possess everything. Embrace the one in everything. Revere and believe in the only greatest creator in the universe. Abide by the overall arrangement of the only government in the whole world. There will be only one person responsible for everything. Do not have a life of luxury and do not waste. Practice moderation in everything. Do not overdo. All affairs and arrangements of the second home should be made public so that everyone has a clear knowledge of them. Do not engage in secretive management. Do not practice superstition. People should stick to facts, science, logic, and spiritual perception. There should be few prohibitions, commandments, terms, and taboos in the second home. The second home should never possess any swords, spears, rods, and other weapons specially to harm others. It should not sing praise of people's cleverness and skills. It should make people live and work in peace and contentment and enjoy the ordinary life. It should not cause disturbance to their settlement or disrupt their peace and quiet. It should make sure that everyone enjoys the joy, pleasure, freedom, and happiness of life. It should abstain from force, coercion, and suppression, and should make sure that no one imposes his or her own will upon others. In one word, the second home adopts paradise management. The content of this method of management is both simple and complicated, and only those with supreme wisdom can understand. Yet, no matter how complicated the management is, everything will become extremely simple as long as you follow the way of the greatest creator or the way of nature. Otherwise, the management will become extremely complex. 混沌管理，用服务代替管理. Paradise management. Replace management with service. Xiefeng. November 4th, 2010. Paradise management has very rich connotations. It is simple because it does not manage anything. It is at the same time complicated because it is the highest form of management, which makes everything operate in a methodical and orderly manner. In paradise management, management is replaced with service. The host is actually the servant and the management is actually the service. No administrative orders will be employed. No force will be used. Submission shall not be obtained via threats, lure by promises of gains, intimidation, or suppression. It is forbidden to impose one's own will upon others to make them painful or unhappy. It is forbidden to make anyone feel any sense of inequality between people. The greatest creator manages the whole universe by paradise management. All things take their rise, but he does not turn away from them. Makes them grow, develops them, it gives them birth and does not own them, acts, helps, and does not appropriate them, is superior, and does not control them, accomplishes, but claims no credit. Water benefits all things and does not compete with them. It dwells in the lowly places that all disdain, but of the best. When their task is accomplished, their work done, the people all remark, "We have done it ourselves." A good runner leaves no track. A good speech leaves no flaws for attack. A good reckoner makes use of no counters. A well-shut door makes use of no bolts, and yet cannot be opened. A well-tied knot makes use of no rope, and yet cannot be untied. Of the best rulers, the people, only, know that they exist. The next best they love and praise. The next they fear, and the next they revile. What paradise management employs is affinity instead of deterrence, happy play and games instead of a serious appearance, naturalness instead of resort to force. This method of management offers happiness and freedom instead of suffering and bondage. It exerts its influence subtly and does not resort to rainstorm-like power. It teaches with wordless example. It enlightens spiritual wisdom and perception and makes people fully exhibit their sincerity, kindness, beauty, love, faith, honesty, simplicity, and character. It does not resort to endless preaching and cheating, and it does not arouse people's selfishness and greed. It is difficult to give a full and clear definition of paradise management, which can be easily understood but is difficult to explain in words. But one thing is certain, and this is service. Mobilize initiative with love, move with real emotion, and make people move toward perfection with sincere service. All looks so natural, without any track of force and suppression. Of course, when faced with disproportion and radicalism, paradise management will stop its apertures and dull its edges, from Lao Tzu Tao Te Ching. 不结婚如何过日子? The life without marriage. Xiefeng. Once one gets married and forms a family, he or she will be plunged in a life of misery. He or she will lose the fundamental freedom of being a man, not to mention the chance of attaining immortality or Buddhahood. Anyone with a family is selfish. They cannot help being selfish because they are controlled, encumbered, and dominated by the program of family. How much pressure a person must bear if he or she does not get married and form a family. The pressure of parents, the persuasion of relatives and friends, the care of neighbors and colleagues, the criticism from the society all bear down on our spirit and soul like huge mountains. The physiological demand, the desire for a home, the worry for illness and death, and the difficulty to relieve loneliness all make us desire instinctively to get married and form a family. If the above problems are not resolved, we will feel pain and suffering all the same. And we may even have greater pain and suffering if we do not get married and form a family, because getting married and forming a family is a matter of course and as easy as sailing downstream, while not getting married and forming a family is as difficult as sailing upstream. The problem is that sailing downstream leads to no other than pain and suffering, which history of mankind has proved to be unavoidable. Then we have no choice but to sail upstream. Let's discuss and resolve these problems one by one. First, the pressure of parents. We should be filial to our parents, but we cannot give in to our parents in the matter of life and life. We know about the road taken by our ancestors all too clearly. It is a road of misery, which we should not repeat. If our parents force us to get married and form family, we must raise some conditions to them. 1. Ask our parents to tell us the significance and value of life. 2. Ask our parents to tell us the nature and meaning of life. 3. Ask our parents to provide good housing conditions. 4. Ask our parents to guarantee our happiness all our life. If our parents cannot meet these conditions, then we can tell them in definite terms that we cannot get married and form a family. As for the persuasion of relatives, friends, neighbors, and colleagues, we can also respond with the above 4 conditions. Or we can simply respond with one question. Can you help me through if I encounter plight and pain after getting married and forming a family? Please give me a written pledge. As for the criticism from the society, we can just ignore it. If pigs say something is wrong with man's life, then just let them squabble. How can we solve the problem of physiological need? The need for food and beauty is our inherent character. The need for sexual life is but a matter of course, otherwise the greatest creator would not have designed those organs and senses for us. A life without sex would be one with abnormal spirit and psychology. We will not only have sex, but also have sex of high quality and happiness. Why don't we? Only a fool would not have sex. Without marriage, with whom do we have sex? It is impossible to do this with chicken and ducks. Contracting disease is only a small matter when compared with the loneliness and solitude of spirit and soul that can't be relieved even after the acts. One cannot afford it economically, and no one would care for your living, old age, illness, and death. Can we find someone randomly to live with us? This may temporarily meet our urgent need, but does not provide long-term solution. What is worse is that we have to bear a lot of liabilities. We may commit irremediable mistakes and cause a series of chain reactions, and suffering and mystery may be endless. My advice is to become Chanyuan Celestials and have the sex life with Chanyuan Celestials. On the condition that you don't go against the ethics, you can make love with whichever Chanyuan Celestial you want to be with, as long as the two of you are willing to do so. You can choose the way that you like. Because we have the same belief, we share the same frequency and resonance. We are a whole. We have the same life values. We are not bound together. We don't hurt each other. We are willing to pay everything for each other, including life. Here is the trouble. Once people, especially our relatives, friend, neighbors, and colleagues, know that we are Chanyuan Celestials and are so casual and free, we will be drowned by condemnation, insult, revile, and grief, and we will be the helpless lambs surrounded by packs of wolves, torn, bitten, trampled, and swallowed. And this will be the price we have to pay for the pursuit of freedom. However, one would rather die than lose the freedom. Without freedom, what do we live for? You live a life, but for whom do you live? Therefore, to get freedom, one must be prepared to remold himself thoroughly and to be reviled by the so-called gentlemen, kind-hearted people, moralists, and defenders of traditional moral principles. One must be prepared to completely break with the secular world. In one word, one be prepared to die. When I am writing these heretical remarks, when I say that the God preached by the Bible is not the real God, when I reprimand family, religion, political party, and state, I have been prepared to die any time. I have said that every day might be my last day. However, I can speak the truth for myself. I am satisfied with my magnanimity and openness. Even if I am dead now, I have no regret because I have lived a real life. The publication of this article may cause some Chanyuan Celestials to leave the home and may cause some people who want to enter Chanyuan to shrink back. No matter what the results might be, this is Life at Chanyuan. We just tell the truth. We are fair and upright. How do we solve a series of problems? Please read the next article. Chanyuan Celestials will live in this way. 禅院草创造美梦祈祷词 A prayer for Chanyuan Celestials to create beautiful dreams. Xiefeng, December 7th, 2010. Translated by Treasure and edited by Care. Preface. Life is like a dream. A dream is like life. Life is but a dream. A dream is also your life. People have lots of dreams throughout their lives, so let every one of them become splendid and fantastic so that they can wander in beautiful dream worlds every night. Dreams are also supplements, links to great lives. A dream is a reflection of a person's state of consciousness, physiology, and soul. Good people have good dreams. Evil people have nightmares. In order to enjoy beautiful dreams, you must first obtain a good consciousness, physical health, and a beautiful soul. If one's consciousness is a mess, has many physiological defects, or has a soul garden that is full of weeds such as jealousy, resentment, anger, anxiety, selfishness, greed, laziness, arrogance, and so on, then they cannot enjoy beautiful dreams. Chanyuan Celestials are baptized by the values of Life at Chanyuan and are building their own soul gardens. In order to cooperate with the construction of these soul gardens, this prayer for Chanyuan Celestials to create beautiful dreams was composed. Lie naked on your bed. Take 8 deep breaths and clear your mind. And forget all the problems of your past day. Rid yourself of all unhappy thoughts. Remain peaceful and simple. Meditate on the beauty of the 1,000-year world or the 10,000-year world for 3 minutes and read the prayer below attentively. The prayer for creating beautiful dreams. Loving greatest Creator with my infinite reverence, I am lying in your warm, comfortable, safe, and gentle embrace. Your spiritual light embraces my whole body. as spring rain moisturizes seedlings. Brightness and beauty are falling on me. All is harmonious and peaceful. The night is sacred and the earth is quiet. The air is filled with the fragrance of flowers. The first faint glimmer of dawn twinkles in the distance. Tomorrow's world will be more beautiful than today's was. I am a beautiful flower fairy. I am a beautiful elf. I am a baby with your special care and blessing. I am always bathed in your spiritual light wherever I go. With neither fear nor darkness, I can enjoy running and playing on the prairie, and in the river as much as I can to my heart's content. Nothing can hurt me. My world is full of joy and safety. My future is beautiful. I yearn for it infinitely. Following your messenger, I have neither worries nor hesitation. Flowers pave the road ahead of me. The great beauty of my hometown, the thousand-year world, beckons to me. I am a fairy. I am an angel. I can fly in the vast blue sky. Ah, the feeling of flying is so comfortable and joyous. I want to fly. Fly to the distant hometown of heaven. O dear greatest Creator, thank you for all that you have bestowed upon me. I am no longer sad and have no worries. I have taken the path that you have arranged for me. The road ahead is clear, and my future will continue to become more joyous and full of brightness, pleasure, and happiness. Ah, peaceful night. I am so happy to be lying in your arms. The fragrance of affectionate love follows me on my path to heaven. Gods, Buddha, angels are with me. Tonight is full of fresh flowers and sweet dreams, and I will enter dreamland and my dreams will be sweet and beautiful. Amen. Attention. The magic of the above prayer lies in your consciousness. Everything that has been inlaid to your consciousness will be realized even it seems illusory. Sense it in your heart and create it with your consciousness. Copy or print the above prayer in a larger font and read them in silence. If you are still unable to fall asleep, then read them twice or 3 times till you fade into the dream world. The second home, now new oasis for life. How can I repay you? Xiefeng, November 8th, 2011. In the second home, I have had the most wonderful chapter of life and bring. People can live in your embrace and feel no regret. But how can I repay you the second home? If I cannot repay you, then I will be an ungrateful black sheep and a lazy parasite. The second home, can I be permitted to repay you in the following 8 aspects? 1. Every day I will get up early in the morning and finish my work conscientiously, with or without management and supervision. I will willingly and voluntarily set my mind on work and do it well. 2. Every day, I will greet every sister, brother, relative, and lover with sunny smiles. I will never spoil other people's good mood with my negative, passive, and pessimistic feelings. I will bring happiness and joy to every sister and brother that I meet with my smiles, kindness, and diligence. 3. Every day I will keep the home clean and tidy. I will never litter. I will never defile any corner of the home, including the bedroom, dining room, table, washing basin, bath, courtyard, path, toilet, and any other tool that I have used. For I will never complain to my sister and brother about my grief and distress, never dump the spiritual garbage to them, never talk anything evil about my sister and brother behind their backs, never fabricate and spread disputes, never find fault with anyone, and never blame or reproach anyone. 5. I will never waste any materials and articles in the home, even a piece of tissue paper. I will never be sumptuous in using the resources of the home, never appropriate any materials. I will treasure and show care for any utensil that I have used and never cause damage to them. 6. I will be a well-educated and civilized person. I will never breach the law of the state and never involve myself in any criminal activities. What I say should be an honest and heartfelt expression of sincerity, kindness, virtue, love, faith, and honesty. My action will never cause harm to anyone, to the society, and to nature. 7. Every day, I will cherish everything in the second home and cherish the life that has not been easy to come by. I will be grateful to Buddha and the greatest creator for everything, to the home. If the home is in need of my service, I will devote everything, including my life, to the home, even if I have to climb the mountain of bayonets and cross the sea of fire. 8. Every day, I will perfect my soul in everything I choose to do and eliminate the weeds in the garden of my soul, such as jealousy, complaint, comparison, anger, fury, censure, resentment, selfishness, greed, arrogance, laziness, passivity, pessimism, gossip, vulgar, shallowness, and barbarity. I will make myself a beautiful scenic spot in the home, and make myself a matter of pride for the home. Let the home be more splendid because of me. Let every sister, brother, relative, and lover be joyful and happy because of my existence. The second home, I find it difficult to express my love and gratitude for you in words. No matter what happens, I will devote myself heart and soul to you. I will put all my heart to build you, protect you, and perfect you. I will devote everything of mine to you, including time, energy, intelligence, strength, and material power. I am more than ready to contribute everything to you. Help me to build a paradise on the earth. Xiefeng, November 13th, 2018. Translated by Treasure and edited by Care. To those with an open spiritual perception, I am the guide of life Echanuan from the thousand-year world of heaven. I now am an experienced builder of paradises on earth. I have written for the past 2 decades, the main contents of which are written in Chanyuan corpus and Xiefeng corpus, but there are also more than 1,000 undeclared articles about the arrangements and details of life in an earthly paradise. I have built several of them over the past decade, including 9 picturesque Xanadu homes in mainland China. However, the Chinese government forcibly disbanded and destroyed all of them because they misinterpreted us as a religious organization. Now, I want to rebuild them in full accordance with the model of the thousand-year world of heaven. The paradise which I want to build on the earth is neither a utopia, communism as it is now understood, the New Harmony Village that Robert Owen built in the United States, those communities which still exist today, such as Oroville in India, Tamara in Portugal, Damanhuri in Italy, Findhorn in Scotland, Christie Diane, the Free City in Denmark, Ideal Society, and 12 tribal communities in Canada, Twin Oaks, Hummingbird, Dancing Rabbit, Tremor Education Community, and Ananda Village in the United States, nor countless others. It is most similar to Kanahana family in Japan in spirit, but not in form. What I want to build is a functioning paradise on Earth. What will that look like? You can gain an overall understanding and see a general picture by referring to the following sources. Search for the Thousand-Year World on Baidu or Google. Read the texts or watch the videos of The Bright Spot of the Second Home, Now New Oasis for Life series. More information is available on the following websites: smcyinternationalfamily.org, bit.ly/2qwrq4j, lifechanyuan.org, newoasis4life.org, leafcosmos.org, Chinese, lifelvzhou.org, Chinese, chaneyuan.org. Centering on sincerity, kindness, beauty, love, faith, honesty, peace, and joy, I can build what you can imagine, but I need the following resources. No less than 60 hectares of land with nearby rivers or spring water and year-round spring-like climate with neither intense heat nor severe cold, which is like Harare, Zimbabwe, or Chuxiong, Yunnan, China. 1 million US dollars. Local governmental permits. 300 people from a multitude of nationalities, cultures, races, and faiths will be selected to participate in constructing, living, and producing in it. Why would I build such a paradise in the human world? To create an ideal mode of life for people and to point to a beautiful and brilliant road for mankind which will give them freedom from worry, pain, anxiety, and fear. To let people know that paradise does exist as long as you make the effort and that by doing so, you can live in heaven from now on. To let people know that life is so beautiful that we can lead happy, free, joyous, and blessed lives and be even happier after death. If you have the ability, please give me a hand. If you can provide the land, that would be great. If you can provide the money, that would also be great. If you can acquire a governmental permit, that would be great too. No matter how much or in what form you can help, please do it. You would be giving alms formlessly, and the returns would be inconceivable. This is a matter of life and death because over the next decade, climate changes will become more and more volatile. Droughts, floods, hurricanes, intense heat, and severe cold will attack us, and fires, floods, and plagues from insects and pestilence will happen. The number of refugees will grow geometrically, and people will compete for resources just to survive. As a result, conflicts and competition between states, interest groups, religious and political groups, and patriarchal clans will become more intense, and the situation will become absolutely tragic, even cutthroat. Every day will be a contest between life and death. What you have now will soon crumble to smoke and ashes. It is better to dedicate your offerings now, because that could lead you into a more livable future. I am eagerly awaiting your good news. Facebook, Xiefeng 2018. WeChat, 00125070633283. Email, xiefeng2218@163.com. 人生行为三要素 Three Causes of Life's Behavior. Xiefeng, January 7, 2019. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. Affection, reason, and nature are the three causes of life's behaviors. What are the factors that motivate people to perform in certain ways? Birds die for food, but people die for money. Is it wealth that motivates people to behave in certain ways? The prosperity of the world is for profit. The hustle and bustle of the world is for profit. Is it profit that motivates people to perform in certain ways? In fact, it is neither wealth nor profit, but affection, reason, and nature. For example, some quarrels and fights between husbands and wives, fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, brothers and sisters, or even colleagues have nothing to do with wealth or profit, but they still happen. I want to ask the world, what is life all about? Some people live for it, others die for it. People here do not live and die for wealth and profit. Life is dear, love is dearer. Both can be sacrificed for freedom. Everyone must die. Let me leave but a loyal heart in the pages of history, and similar behaviors are not for wealth or profit. According to Maslow's theory of the hierarchy of the needs in life, what makes certain behaviors happen are the physiology, safety, social interaction, respect, and self-actualization needs of people. According to Freud, sexual instinct in the unconscious mind is the basic motivation for human behavior. Both Maslow and Freud make sense, but they cannot explain all the motivations of human behavior. For example, trampling on an ant or praising a member of the same sex cannot be analyzed by Maslow and Freud's theories. However, all the motivations of human behavior can be explained by affection, reason, and nature. In other words, all human behavior is in accordance with either affection, reason, or nature. It must be at least one of these three. If a certain behavior is not in accordance with affection, then it must be with reason or nature. If it is in accordance with neither reason nor nature, then it must be with affection. We often say that someone is unreasonable or irrational when in fact they are really unreasonable, but they are being affectionate. We often say that someone is indifferent when in fact they are just not affectionate, but their behavior is in accordance with their nature. Home is not the place for reasoning, it is the place for affection and nature. Men value rationality while women value affection, so couples often do not understand each other. Either spouse will think that the other is being unreasonable and selfish when in fact they are both playing a harp to a cow. Doing so is not the fault of the cow, but that of the player. What is the use of playing a harp to a cow? You are not on the same channel and are just annoying the cow. The behavior of living for yourself while helping others secretly is not in accordance with affection nor with reason, but it is in accordance with nature. That is someone's nature. Some people are born omnivores while others are lifelong vegans. This cannot be analyzed with affection or reason because it is the product of one's nature. All desires are manifestations of people's natures, all requirements are manifestations of affection, and all preaching are manifestations of reason. The advantage of knowing this truth is that everyone in the world becomes pleasing to your eye. Everyone becomes right. Do not worry if children are crying. They are just expressing their nature. Take it easy if a wife is crying, shouting, and trying to hang herself. She is just in a mood. Do not be afraid if a husband is yelling sternly. He is reasoning. Trump launched a trade war against China, so Xi Jinping fought back tit for tat. Xi Jinping wanted to invade Taiwan by force, so Tsai Ing-wen talked domineeringly. Some people are screaming, exterminate the CPC, while others are shouting, we love the CPC. In my opinion, they are all right. If you only consider from the perspective of affection, reason, or nature, then you will feel that they are all wrong. If you do so from my three causes, affection, reason, and nature, then you will feel that everyone in the world is right. Who can say that mice who dig holes are wrong, but that cats who catch them are right? On the contrary, who can say that cats who catch mice are wrong, but that mice who dig holes are right? All are right and none are wrong because they are all following their natures. Eventually, you will find that those who are destined to die will die, and those who are destined to live will live. Those who are destined to live are still alive. This is good. Those who are destined to die are dead. This is also not bad. 无用之用有大用. Uselessness has great use. Xiefeng, January 7th, 2019. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Kair. Life's journeys are full of contradictions, struggles, conflicts, fights, troubles, pains, disasters, and a preponderance of anxiety. Something has to be wrong with this. So what is it? The problem is that people are all chasing useful things and have no time to consider the useless ones. What are considered life's useful things? Money, power, fame, gain, and carnal pleasure are a few. What are considered life's useless things? Beliefs, ideals, faith, morals, and integrity are some. If someone is not lacking money for food, clothing, shelter, and transportation, but is still in deep trouble and pain, then their problems have doubtlessly been pursuing useful things and completely neglecting useless ones. By the existence of things, we profit. By the non-existence of things, we are served. Useful things are for profit and useless things are for usage. Useful things are for survival and useless things are for life. Those who pursue money, power, fame, profit, and carnal pleasure all their lives are only doing it for survival, which will inevitably lead to fighting, killing, depriving, robbing, complaining, envying, suffering, and eventual disasters. The rich died violently, the powerful were imprisoned, the famous committed suicide, the owner of land and luxury cars died on the street, and attractive celebrities were betrayed and bullied. That quote illustrates how the things that are seen as being useful are not really of great use. If those who possess money, power, fame, profit, and carnal pleasure neglect the so-called useless things, then their results will be misery and their lives will face tragic ends. Faith which seems useless can guide lives. With it, you can escape the reef and avoid being drawn into the vortex of tragedy by the power of the secular world. Following the right ideals can make people's minds bright, reduce nonsensical follies, words, and actions, establish self-esteem, self-confidence, and self-discipline, and avoid the company of troublesome people. If you have faith, you can maintain righteousness under difficult and confusing circumstances, and temporary setbacks and tribulations will not cause you to associate with evil influences to commit illegal acts, use drugs, or go out whoring, or scam and steal from people. This is actually tantamount to avoiding disaster. People of virtue can calm down and remain at ease with no anxiety for wealth or honor, no worries about poverty or humbleness, to be content with the rules of Tao, and to just enjoy their lives regardless of where they are or what they are doing. People of quality can behave as evergreen trees fight severe cold. Smiling faces pull through midsummer, born in a valley. Do not refuse to bloom because you have no audience. Cultivate virtue and morality. Do not change integrity for hardship. In fact, it is analogous to avoiding a lot of troubles, pains, and disasters. It can be seen from this that what seems useless has great use. Since useless things are of such great use, then why do the overwhelming majority of people seek out only what they perceive as useful ones? The answer is that the vast majority are myopic. They see no farther than the tips of their noses. People only look for their short-term interests and never take the long-term into consideration. They are all afraid of suffering losses, so they want to get their material wealth early. Human society has been this way in the past, is now, and will remain the same in the future. Worries, pains, anxiety, fears, and disasters will always accompany people, and nothing will change unless Tao has other plans. Knowing this, I can only watch with cold eyes. 正义永远战胜不了邪恶。 Justice can never defeat evil. Xiefeng, July 4th, 2019. Translated by Chinyu and edited by Bandy. I often hear people say, justice will eventually defeat evil. After my long review and inspection, I finally found that justice will eventually defeat evil is a self-comforting phrase. The fact is that justice can never defeat evil in this space and time of the world, and for the same reason, evil can never defeat justice. I have theoretical and practical basis for this conclusion: justice can never defeat devil. In theory, the sum of positive and negative energies in the universe is zero. Positive and negative are like acting force and reactive force, equal in magnitude and opposite in direction. From the law of the unity of opposites, justice and evil are twin brothers. Where there is justice, there is evil. Justice and evil complement each other and are both opposed and united. If evil is eliminated, justice will no longer exist, just as if the carnivores were eliminated, it will be difficult for the herbivores to exist. Without up, there will be no down. Without front, there will be no back. Without coming, there will be no going. Without death, there will be no life. Where there is day, there is night. Where there is long day, there is long night. Day can never defeat night, and of course night can never defeat day either. From this, we can draw a conclusion that justice and evil coexist in the human world. The human world is the time and space where justice and evil fight and kill. No one can defeat the other. No one can destroy the other. Even if justice or evil temporarily dominates, the situation will reverse, just as the day and night. In practice, looking at the history and current situation of mankind, when did justice prevail over evil? Justice and evil are like two evenly matched people holding each other, fighting, beating, and rolling. For a while, justice is above and evil is below, and for a while, evil is above and justice is below. There has never been a case where justice has long prevailed over evil. In the human world, evil has a fertile soil and environment for survival. The greed of the human heart is one of the most fertile soils. Is there any time for the greed of human heart to be satisfied? The answer is no. Is 100 million enough? No. 10 billion enough? No. 100 billion enough? Not enough either. If you are rich, you still want honor. If you have honor, you also want power. If you have power, you want to control the world. After controlling the world, you also want to control the universe. After you have controlled the universe, you want to be the greatest creator. You can see from this that justice can never defeat evil. Why people's greedy cannot be satisfied. There is a huge secret here, which is the dynamic balance mechanism of life in the universe. What is the dynamic balance mechanism of life in the universe? The laws and principles that maintain the survival of life and interpret the ups and downs of the magnificent plot are the dynamic balance mechanism of life in the universe. Here is a simple example. In a country, there is only one president. There are several hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, or hundreds of thousands of so-called management staff under the president. The number of the ordinary people is the largest. To maintain this kind of management mechanism, the common people must try to climb upwards, and the ones above them will push downwards, constantly climbing and constantly pressing. The reality constituted by this kind of climbing and pressing is the dynamic balance mechanism. Among the 20 parallel worlds and 36-dimensional spaces in the universe, there are heaven, hell, and human world. People in hell want to go into heaven, just like ordinary people want to be president. This is not feasible. So what to do? We must find a way to keep a large number of lives out of the gates of heaven. The human world is a transit station between heaven and hell, and a battlefield where justice and evil fight and kill. The most effective way to contain a large number of lives outside of heaven is to make people greedy, unenlightened. Thus you can know the reason why justice can never defeat evil in the human world. Seeing through reality, should those who think that they are righteous be very pessimistic? Do you think that this mechanism is unreasonable? Do you think that it is benevolent only when there is no hell but heaven? If you think this way, it is irrational. You can imagine that if all insects, birds, beasts, domestic animals, fish, shrimps, snakes, and scorpions are all transformed into human beings, can human beings survive any longer? The sea of bitterness is boundless. Is there a way to be optimistic? Yes. Where? The person from heaven will lead you to find a way to be optimistic. 不要期望石头会变成西瓜. Do not expect stones to become watermelons. Xiefeng, July 24th, 2019. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Care. Can a stone ever become a watermelon or a watermelon a stone? Of course not, but according to Chan Yuan values, nothing is impossible, but only things that cannot be realized or changed by thinking. Is this not a contradiction? First, you said impossible, but then you said that nothing is impossible. So which is it? Here, impossible refers to the situation in mortal space-time, but possible refers to an environment which transcends it. Impossible refers to the limited material world, but possible refers to the unbounded non-material world. Impossible refers to the principle of universality, but possible refers to the principle of particularity. Impossible refers to conventional common sense, but possible refers to unconventional thinking. Thus, there are no contradictions. It is difficult for people to change their natures. If we compare them to stones, then it is impossible for them to become watermelons. I often hear people say that someday his conscience will sting him, meaning that someone who hurts you now will eventually learn that they were wrong and apologize or repent and compensate you for your loss. But a stone is a stone and will never become a watermelon. In other words, it is extraordinarily unlikely that a person who hurts you will ever find their conscience. If you agree with this point of view, then you can handle your interpersonal relationships in this way along your life's journey. If someone makes you unhappy when you deal with them the first time, stop there. An old expression goes, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. No stone will ever transform itself into a watermelon. If someone looks unpleasantly toward you, do not look back at them in the future. You will be sick of them for the rest of your life. If someone cheats you once, do not assume that you can ever trust them in the future. They will do it again at every opportunity. People who doubt you will always doubt you no matter how you argue, explain, or prove yourself. They will keep doubting you forever. People who dislike you will never like you regardless of what you say, do, or how well you treat them. People who entangled you the first time you encountered them will do their best to keep you entangled forever. Those who fail will always fail, and those who succeed will always succeed. Do not expect one who has failed to succeed someday. They will fail again. Avoid failures. An unreasonable person will never reason with you. Trying to reason with them is futile. The story of Mr. Donghua and the wolf tells us that no matter how compassionate Mr. Donghua was to the wolf, it would always eat him. The story of the farmer and the snake tells us that no matter how much the farmer pitied the snake, it would still kill him. The story of the fisherman and his wife tells us that her greed was insatiable. Someone who does not care much about love will always leave you heartbroken no matter how much you love them. People who betray you once will keep betraying you all the way to the nth time. Untrustworthy people will always find excuses to defend themselves. Never expect them to keep their words. People who make you feel uncomfortable will never put you at ease. If you disagree with my point of view, then you can try your own way. A stone is born a stone, and a watermelon is born a watermelon. Human are born to be human, and immortals are born to be immortals. 长相与品质关系初探. A probe into the relationship between appearance and quality. Xiefeng, April 14th, 2019. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Care. Is there any relationship between a person's physical appearance and their life quality? Let us analyze it. First, I would like to make it clear that this is only my personal opinion, or a quick view, but maybe a wrong conclusion. If you disagree, you can absolutely stick with your observation and analysis. Anyway, just do not swear at me. Relation 1. The prettier the physical appearance, the more beautiful the soul. Relation 2. The uglier the physical appearance, the more beautiful the soul. Relation 3. There is no direct relationship between physical appearance and the beauty of the soul. The conclusion of my observation is that people with more beautiful physical appearances have more perfect life qualities. I know that this result is beaten by countless examples, such as Hugo's Notre Dame de Paris. In it, there are four main characters: Esmeralda, Claude, Quasimodo, and Phoebus. Claude looks great and talented, but is sinister, vicious, hypocritical, cunning, mean, and selfish. Phoebus is also handsome and unrestrained, but he is sinister, cunning, hypocritical, rude, frivolous, and vile. Quasimodo is in sharp contrast to Claude and Phoebus. Quasimodo looks very ugly, but is kind and loyal, rich in justice, pure and innocent. Esmeralda looks beautiful, but is simple and pure, kind and innocent, compassionate and sympathetic. She is the only one who is consistent with my conclusion. Let us look at Sudaji in the legend of deification. She looks beautiful and coquettish with a graceful figure, but she is a snake, scorpion-hearted, and inexplicably vicious, which is completely contrary to my conclusion. But hold on, let us analyze and spy through the huge and voluminous chaotic phenomena to see if there are some rules that can be discovered and followed. There have been 10 very handsome men in Chinese history. They were Pannin, Songyu, King Lanling, Zidu, Wei Jie, Murong Chong, Song Wengong, Han Zigao, Duga Xian, and Ji Kong. They all share the features of having very charming styles, were exceedingly beautiful, tall and slender, handsome in shape, possessing smooth skin, and were natural, unrestrained, and graceful. As for their characters, there are many praises with very few derogatory words for any of them. This shows that good-looking people are not always bad. There have also been 10 very beautiful women in Chinese history. In addition to the fish sinking, birds alighting, breathtaking Shi Shi, Wang Zhaojun, Diao Chan, and Yang Guifei, there have also been Feng Xiaolian, Su Daji, Zhao Fian, Zheng Dan, Bao Si, and Zhenmi. These women's beautiful appearances cannot be overstated, but except for the praises of Shi Shi, Wang Zhaojun, Diao Chan, and Yang Guifei, the moral qualities of Su Daji, Bao Si, and the rest are mostly negative. What are the relationships between their appearances and characters? History has long passed, so we cannot go back to live with them and study any of them. The characters in the literary descriptions only represent the writer's uses of the past to satirize the present or to express their own feelings and aesthetic values with the help of their character images, which is not enough for factual evidence. For example, the white bone spirit, fox spirit, spider spirit, jade stone lute spirit, and white rabbit spirit in Journey to the West, and the fox spirit, especially the painted skin in Strange Tales of a Lonely Studio, can only be treated as characters in novels, but not as facts for judging the nature of real people. For that, we can only use factual, scientific, logical, and spiritual approaches to analyze them. In reality, there are no less than 400 people who have had relatively deep interpersonal relationships with me. My observation of them is that the more beautiful the person appears, the purer their character is. From a scientific point of view, appearance is the expression of reality and the external form of the non-material structure of life. The more perfect the structure is, the more symmetrical and beautiful its appearance is. It can also be seen from Water Knows the Answer that the more beautiful and kinder the reality is, the more beautiful the shape that it projects will also be. And it can be concluded from this alone that the better the inner quality is, the more pleasing to the eye its appearance will be. From a logical point of view, if there is a flaw in something, then something must be wrong with its foundation. The appearance of a building is determined by its drawing, which is determined by the architect's aesthetics and knowledge and experience of designing structures. You picked up a porcelain bowl and found that the bottom of the porcelain bowl was slightly flawed. This flaw was not caused by the bowl itself, but by its mold. That is, the bottom of the mold was flawed. Therefore, the appearance of a person is determined by their inner quality. The better their quality, the nicer their appearance. The poorer their quality, the ugly their appearance. In terms of spiritual sense, when I lived in the thousand-year world, I saw that every man was handsome and elegant and every woman was glamorous and charming. Later, through the continent for 3 realms lives to pass through, I found that the men and women in the 10,000-year world were even more delicate and beautiful than the ones in the thousand-year world. The thousand-year world and 10,000-year world are within the kingdom of heaven, so people in both places are pure of heart and noble of character. This further proves that there is a direct proportional relationship between appearances and characters, which means that the better the former, the more beautiful the later. The phenomenon that now confuses us is that many handsome men and lovely women in our world have looks that are nowhere nearly proportional to their inner qualities. That is to say, some people who look pleasing to the eye are rather ruthless when dealing with interpersonal relationships, while some people who cannot make people look back at them are kind-hearted and genuinely decent. So what is going on here? After observing and considering many people for a long time, I found that the problem is that no matter how someone looks, once they step into business, a battlefield, officialdom, Vanity Fair, love, or a casino, their soul will be affected by money, power, fate, fame, gain, carnal pleasure, and other such things. They will not be the same individual that they were in Tathagata, but will have been driven by the devil's program and will have become obsessed with money, power, fame, carnal pleasure, fate, fortune, and will have lost their natures. We therefore draw the conclusion that appearance is directly proportional to quality, but for people in corrupting environments and situations, appearance has nothing to do with quality, and we cannot judge people that way. You need to be careful where appearances and quality do not match lest you reap beans from melon seeds. From this, we learn the big secret that if a person wants to restore their Tathagata nature to go to heaven, then they must not enter the vortex related to money, power, fame, gain, and carnal pleasure. If they do, then their pure and beautiful souls will be distorted, their Tathagata nature will be covered up, and their appealing looks will be trampled on and defiled by their very selves. Unless rigorous cultivation enters their lives, their future destinations will definitely be bad. Another truth that I discovered is that if a person gets along well with others with whom they have no direct interest, and if they are beautiful, then we can basically conclude that their quality is also beautiful. My final conclusion is that when a person is in a state of selflessness, their appearance and life quality complement each other. The more beautiful their appearance is, the more perfect their life quality is also. 求证,若无益便有害. Seeking confirmation. If it is not helpful, then it will be harmful. Xiefeng, March 29th, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. A proposition suddenly occurred to me. If something is not helpful, then it must be harmful. What does this mean? It means that if an entity such as a country, political party, religion, organization, group, piece of food, house, car, type of money, contract, agreement, stock, field, company, business, computer, mobile phone, article of clothing, shoe, chicken, duck, fish, news item, some information, people, or anything else cannot benefit you, then it will definitely harm you. For example, a WeChat group that you join which brings you no happiness, joy, freedom, or blessing will eventually bring you worry, pain, sorrow, and anxiety. A house that you own which does not add convenience or other benefits to your life will bring you the anxiety of managing it and consume your time and effort. A dog that you raise but does not bring you the warmth that you had expected from it will definitely bring you trouble that you never thought of. An employee who is recruited by a company but who fails to benefit them will definitely become a drain on them. Let us analyze someone with whom you associate. Whether they're your sibling, friend, relative, colleague, spouse, net friend, or other acquaintance. As long as they bring you no joy, peace, or safety, then they will definitely bring you pain, worry, and crises. If this proposition is true, then the opposite must also be true. If it is harmful, then it is useless. Is this proposition absolute? Is it extreme? If yes, please demonstrate. If this proposition is true and is related to the happiness and future of your whole life, then you must take it seriously. For example, if you make a net friend but find that they make you worry, unhappy, or prove to be a waste of your time and energy, then you should immediately cut off your new relationship because if it is useless, then it is harmful, and if it is harmful, then it is useless. Especially in the early stage of a romantic relationship, once you find something that upsets you about your new lover, the relationship should be severed immediately and never developed any further. Once you fall in, you are going to cry for the rest of your life because if it is not helpful, then it is harmful. 普世价值有多好? How good are universal values? Xiefeng, August 29th, 2019. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. The concepts and ideas that make people happy, joyous, free, and blessed are universal senses of values, or universal values for short. Is it good or bad to have them? We all are familiar with highways. As long as we obey traffic laws on them, we can usually drive unimpededly. Whether on the roads in Africa, Europe, Australasia, or the Americas, as long as our vehicle body widths do not exceed 2 meters, we should be able to drive freely throughout the world. This maximum vehicle width of 2 meters is universal, but what would happen if it were not observed? There would doubtlessly be traffic jams. What if someone were to drive a vehicle on the road that is 4 meters wide? Of course, all the cars on the opposite side would have to move away, or it would be difficult for anyone to move anywhere. This one case alone is enough to prove how good universal values are and how bad it is to violate them. Today is August 29, 2019. This is also a universal value. With this universal value, recording and communicating is made smooth. If you disagree with this value and insist that today is November 37, 3085, then life would become unreasonable and communications would be blocked. China and the United States have recently experienced some trade congestion. What is the reason? It is that either China or the United States did not observe some universal value, or maybe neither country did. Either way, once the universal value was not observed, it led to inevitable congestion. Universal values should not be mixed with national, ethnic, religious, regional, or special interest sentiments. Once a value falls under the influence of any of these, they are no longer universal. Trump's America First and Xi Jinping's Chinese Dream both carry national sentiments, so neither are universal values, and since they are not, they will undoubtedly lead to traffic jams. Buddhism's reincarnation and Christianity's resurrection and Last Judgment beliefs are in sharp contrast to each other because the roots of these two religions are so completely different. In other words, Buddhism and Christianity have no universal values, and neither do many other belief systems. So if there are religious sentiments in the concepts and ideas, then they cannot have universal values. Socialism and capitalism cannot share universal values either because the former cannot satisfy the capitalist, bourgeois, class and the latter cannot satisfy the working, proletariat, class. Quarrels between people, arguments between political parties, competitions between interest groups, and wars between nations are all caused by their lack of universal values. If everyone had universal values and abided by them, the world would be a paradise. Today, the concept and philosophy that best embodies universal values is the 800 Values for New Era Humans. By pursuing them, mankind would move toward a thoroughfare, natural disasters would decrease and calm down gradually, and everyone would enjoy happy, joyous, free, and blessed lives. 我在桃园仙友群打情骂俏的感悟. My feelings on flirting in the Xanadu Fairy Friends WeChat group. Xiefeng. April 3, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. There are several masters in this WeChat group, but they rarely have the free time to chat with me. Of the 83 netizens in it, only 7 or 8 chat with me occasionally while the others are mostly silent. Only 4 or 5 members talk to me regularly. Though they are not Chanyuan Celestials, they are happy to chat with me. I do not spread values in this group, nor do I teach scriptures. I concentrate on talking about love and flirting in order to observe their reactions. From a few recent chats, I have gained these 4 insights. Few are enlightened. Very few people return to their nature, which proves that people are still on their roads to enlightenment. The acme of good writing is nothing special, it is only being just right. The acme of good character is nothing unusual, it is only being one's true self. Those who are truly enlightened and masterful of Tao and Dharma no longer talk about scriptures and Tao, but return to their nature. They chat, brag, discuss him and mulberries over wine, and are mainly based on having a good time. You can observe those great scientists and wealthy entrepreneurs. Instead, they talk easily and dress plainly, without a little shelf and the aura and desire to show off their wealth. The more a dabbler in knowledge, the more people like to show themselves off, the more they want to look superior, and the more they like to show their uniqueness. This situation is particularly prominent on the web, including WeChat groups. The less they understand about Buddha and Tao, the more they like to talk about them. The less reasonable they are, the more they like to talk about reason. They are like poor people who wear brand name clothes to show off their wealth. They are pitiful. Few have original thoughts. The vast majority in WeChat groups and WeChat moments are info porters. They have no original thoughts or opinions but keep busy all day exploring treasures across the vast network and on WeChat, and then move their treasures intact from one place to another in order to brush their senses of existence and let people know how smart they are. In fact, the more that they copy and paste, the more that their ignorance and folly are shown. Without their own thoughts and opinions, they carry so many things every day only to tell others that they are microphones. They are ridiculous. Many pretend to be gods. It is good for ordinary people to be ordinary, but I do not know where these people find their courage to pretend to be gods, to summon wind and rain, to ride whirlwinds, or to be blockbusters and masters. I found that within China there are many wannabe gods, and an endless stream of these masters are emerging constantly. They talk about terms and principles that they do not understand, each sitting in a serious manner, looking both ridiculous and pitiful, just like funny performers in circuses, which are very much worth seeing. If they should ever happen to stumble across a real master someday, I do not know if they will try to hide their shame. Speaking of this, I also have a cold sweat on my body. When I am talking about others, am I also a pretend master in the eyes of higher experts? Therefore, I still need to behave myself by tucking my tail between my legs and being an honest man so as not to make a fool of myself and seem absurd to others. Few understand the truth of life. What on earth do people live for? Few people think about this, and still fewer understand that finding happiness is an original, key purpose of life, but they just do not know where to find it. Originally, joking, flirting, talking about love, chatting, and laughing was one of the simplest, most direct, easiest, and most effective ways to find happiness. But no one seems to take flirting people seriously, and flirters are seen as having low tastes and the hobbies of country bumpkins, as if these judges are themselves ladies and gentlemen. Some people have also criticized me for looking for stimulation because of my spiritual emptiness. Some people even used a sermon in the Shurangama Sutra about lewdness to insinuate that I am evil. Bloody hell! Would Xiefeng dare to do this if he did not thoroughly understand the Dharma? Would he dare to seduce and flirt with women so openly? The ultimate goal of Buddhism is to transform people to let them leave suffering and attain happiness. Am I violating Dharma by making people happy? Buddha has no set rules. His rules are always situational. Buddha said that our mind should not abide in form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or Dharma, but should abide nowhere. As long as it allows people to leave suffering and attain happiness, then all the methods are Dharma. Is it necessary to strictly observe the scriptures? Just talk about the above 4 points. In fact, I have many more insights. I hope that the Xanadu Fairy Friends group becomes a happy base camp. 扑克牌游戏真上游中获得的启示 Enlightenment gained from playing poker. Struggling upstream. Xiefeng. September 16, 2019. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. The nature of playing poker and mahjong are very similar. Players have no control over which cards they are dealt, and this has many similarities to life. I have summarized them and wish to present the following 9 revelations. It is impossible to predict what you will draw or which card will come up next. The cards you get are totally beyond your control, and you can only resign yourself to your fate. Life is very similar. No one can control the type of family into which they will be born or whether they will be rich or poor. These things are the mere results of fate. The cards one draws basically determine the results. If one gets a handful of bad cards, then no matter how superb their playing skills are or how profound their wisdom is, their ultimate loss is almost guaranteed. Life is the same. The environment of one's birth and their early conditions basically determine the direction and result of their life. No matter how hard they work, the result can only be tragic. Even with a good hand, the results are not necessarily wins. Whether you win or lose is still determined by the overall game. If others have many straights to play while you have all unmatched cards, then you cannot beat them. All you can do is watch them play their cards, and you will not even get a chance to play your cards at all. Here is how luck works. If you draw a handful of well-matched cards, then you will win. If you draw all unrelated cards, then you will lose. Life is the same. Even if you were born into a superior environment under great conditions and with excellent morality and wisdom but run into bad luck, then your life will still be difficult and unsatisfactory. Looking at those who are less powerful than you yet still manage to thrive in their endeavors, you can only wipe away your tears secretly, sigh, and lament for yourself. Sometimes the cards in your hand are just so-so with no jokers or wild deuces, but their order is good. In this situation, even if the cards you played are very small, others will not be able to outbid you. So you can play all your cards smoothly for several rounds and win. Life is the same. Someone might have been born very normal with nothing out of the ordinary, but then they succeed unexpectedly and their journey is unimpeded, which provokes envy and hate in many other, more worthy people. In Zhangshangyo, struggle upstream, you can scheme, play petty tricks, and take risks to improve your probability of winning. However, when your unfair methods are discovered by your playmates, no one will ever play with you again. People will look down on you from the bottom of their hearts, and you will be regarded as a card hooligan. So the price of cheating becomes very high. Such is also the case with life, where many people get what they want through unfair means. But once they become exposed, their lives become stained and it becomes very difficult for them to ever restore their reputations. They can only spend the rest of their lives with regrets. In card games, players can conspire. That is, two or three people can unite secretly against a third one. In this way, with three players against one, the probability of the single outsider winning becomes extraordinarily low. It is unfair competition when winning and losing depend on conspiracies and joint dealings. Consider a lion dealing with multiple hyenas. No matter how fierce the lion is, it would be nearly impossible for it to beat the entire cackle, and it will eventually become hyena food. Life is similar. No matter how powerful one is, when they fall prey to a group of scoundrels, they get overwhelmed eventually and lose out to them. In Zhangshangyo, the more chances you get to play the cards in your hand, the greater your probability to win becomes. If you never have any chance to play it, then you have to watch others swagger around and do nothing but become the last to come. The same is true in life where you have to be your own master several times. The more opportunities you have to do that, the more you can show your own character and value. If you allow others to blindly control you, but you have no chance to run your own life, then you will remain at the bottom of the barrel throughout your life. Now comes the most important revelation. First of all, we must understand that from the beginning to the end, playing cards is just a game, the purpose of which is to make us happy. As long as that purpose is achieved, then winning or losing does not matter very much. Win or lose, any player who treats the game as fun is the king of playing cards. Understand that no matter what cards are in your hand, you must always be relaxed, complacent, and not frustrated, discouraged, or cursing your bad cards. Even if you hold the worst possible hand, you will still feel that it is interesting and you will keep smiling. Then, you will be the master of playing cards, the king of playing cards. Win, and you are happy. Lose, and you are happy. You are actually the biggest winner of playing the card game. Life too should also be like this, a game, a struggling upstream game. If you want to win desperately above all else, to succeed, to impress others, to be famous, to own luxury cars and mansions, to be powerful and influential, to be obeyed by others, to glorify and illuminate your ancestors, and leave a good name forever, then you are a person who is not enlightened and one who does not understand life. You will definitely be the biggest loser in this game. When it is over, when life comes to an end, then everything will end in tragedy. On the contrary, one who plays struggling upstream and also plays life with a game mentality is open-minded and has been awakened to life. Such people are saints among mortals and are the greatest winners in life. Whenever you play a game, play it seriously. If you are cynical in the process of playing, the game will be uninteresting. Sigh when you lose, laugh when you are excited, shout when you feel like shouting, and bang on the table when the time is right. It is a lot of fun and excitement to play like this, to be passionate emotionally, to be calm in the heart, to see through things as saints do, and to be naughty as children are. These are the real masters of playing cards and Celestial's life journeys who have attained Tao. 从武汉疫情获得的8个启示 8 Revelations Obtained from the Wuhan Pandemic. Xiefeng, February 9, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. All Things and Phenomena are books without words. Reading from them is communicating directly with the greatest creator. The Wuhan coronavirus is such a phenomenon. So what revelations can we gain from it? Unexpected things can happen at any time. So do not be arrogant when you are at a high point in life, nor discouraged at a low point, because when you wake up, you will find that everything spins in the opposite direction. The most important thing in life is to act now, when it is calm, not later, because we may not have the chance to fulfill our wishes in the future. No matter how talented you are, you might be helpless. When you are helpless, the money, power, status, and material wealth you have will not help you, nor will even your friends, relatives, and well-connected associates. You can only rely on the greatest creator and yourself. Regardless of whether the virus is arranged by gods, spread from animals, or artificially created, things happen with inevitability and everything is inevitable. This is a truth that we discovered when we explored the mysteries of the universe, that since everything is inevitable, our life and death have already been planned out. If we have enough merits, then Tao would have long since arranged for us to be in a safe zone. If we lack having enough of them, then we cannot hide from our misfortunes. No matter how we try to avoid them, we cannot prevent them. Understanding this, we can face the developments and changes of things calmly and with neither panic nor fear. To die right now is not necessarily a bad thing, and to continue living is not necessarily a good thing. Isolation has been a good way to prevent plagues since ancient times, but lockdowns of roads, villages, and cities is definitely not a good strategy. Lockdowns will cause suffocation and coldness. We should let love go to every corner and spread warmth everywhere. When we shut people out from affected areas, despair will not only envelope others, but it will also make the world colder. The world is still cold, and people are still very selfish. This can be seen from the evacuation of Chinese people from overseas countries, disallowing people from entering countries, and closures of roads, villages, communities, and cities where people have become so cold and selfish that they cannot feel even a trace of warmth. Therefore, each of us should think about how to let the light of love shine everywhere and let love warm everyone's hearts. Otherwise, people will never reach the pinnacle of civilization. At critical moments, people will find that it is not those who we want and expect to help us who will, but those who are strangers. We therefore realize that within our lifetime, we should not spend our time and energy on establishing relationships with a small group of people. Rather, we should treat everyone we meet equally and respect everyone who we have the fortune to meet because we do not know who can and will really help us when we need them to. Good fortune lies within bad. Bad fortune lurks within good. The darker the hour, the nearer the dawn. So everyone should hold to their beliefs, faiths, and consciences. I have asked more than 100 Chanyuan celestials what they would do if one of them was infected with the virus. Fortunately, 70% of the young ones answered without hesitation that they would neither betray nor shun them, but that they would take care of the infected member and give the hope of life to their brother or sister even at the risk of death to themselves. What do you think of our Chanyuan spirit? 从习性判断未来趋势 Judging future trends from habits. Xiefeng, January 16, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. One who was injured at a specific spot on their body is more likely to be injured on that same spot in the future. Those who fail at one thing are more likely to fail in many more things in the future. Those who lie once will lie again in the future. Those who kill once are apt to kill again in the future. Those who divorce once are likely to divorce again. Miscarrying increases the chances of it happening a second and third time in the future. Those who steal successfully once will do it again in the future. Those who have an affair will take advantage of opportunities to repeat them with others in the future. Those who accept a bribe once will continue to accept more bribes. Those who have given up on an opportunity once are apt to give up future opportunities that present themselves. Those who betray you once will betray you many times. First-time casino gamblers will return in the future. Those who are hurt by something once will be haunted by its fear and remain afraid of it forever. Those who discard their promise once will do so again and again. Those who are arrogant in expression, behavior, or language will remain so. Those who are careless about one thing will be so about many other things. A first-time deceiver will deceive many times again. Once in a cell, a person is more likely to enter another cell. Those who have doubted one thing will doubt many other things. Those who have been struck by lightning once will likely be stricken again. Those who have been fooled once are more likely to be fooled again in the future. If you swallow your anger once and a similar thing happens, you will do it again. Being unreasonable once will lead to being unreasonable many more times. If you break a precept once, then you will do it many more times. If you fail the first time, then failing the second, third, and all future times will become progressively easier. People who and things that make you uncomfortable the first time will never set you at ease in the future. Those who cannot do small things well will do more important things just as poorly. Those who are not hygienic will be sloppy in other aspects of life and cannot be quick. Those who do not finish what they start will procrastinate on everything. Those who made you sad once will repeat it again and again. Those who lack enthusiasm and passion will never develop them in the future. Those who let you down once will do so every time. Those who have schemed will continue to do so in the future. Those who are very attached to things are bound to stumble over them. Those who get fight germs poorly will become more easily infected with the passage of time. Those who believe they are right will never admit to being wrong. Those who find falsity, evil, and ugliness easily will never survive in a world of truth, goodness, and beauty. Habits make things become natural. When they become natural to you, they become your characteristics, which will be difficult to change. Therefore, a person's future developmental trends can be judged from their habits. 性自由是初级自由，也是终极自由. Sexual freedom is primary freedom and ultimate freedom. Xiefeng, November 19, 2019. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. Give me liberty or give me death. Liberty, love? For my love, I would sacrifice life. These two I need. For liberty, I will sacrifice my love. Life's ultimate goal is its pursuit of freedom. Why are people afraid of hell? Because it has no freedom. Why do people yearn for heaven? Because it has total freedom. What one longs for in jail is freedom. It is more precious than money, power, status, reputation, mansions, luxury cars, delicacies from land and sea, or top-brand clothing. Why do people not want to be slaves? Because slaves have no freedom. Why do they want to become celestials and Buddhas? Because those entities have more freedom. Can people ever get enough freedom? No. Only lives higher than ours can be fully free. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights says that all human beings are born free and everyone has the right to liberty. So what is freedom? Freedom means that one's will is fully exerted and displayed. We are members of societies, no more influential than drops of water in the oceans. It is impossible to fully exert and display one's own will because the freedom of one person can easily conflict with that of another, so everyone must be restrained. Theoretically, the role and value of contracts, regulations, laws, constitutions, and so forth are to protect everyone's freedoms to the maximum, so everyone must act within their scope. Beyond this scope, freedom would lead to chaos and war, so then absolute freedom would lead to absolute restraint. Freedom is a high-level life state. People cannot have total freedom. For example, they cannot have the freedom to burn, kill, rob, deceive and swindle, humiliate, attack, slander or frame others, defecate in public places, hurt others, and so on. Individuals cannot have complete freedom. They can only pursue freedoms that have little potential for conflict with others, society, and nature, such as those of migration, imagination, thought, their pursuit of life in heaven, freedom from death, of labor and creation, and sexual freedom. Among all the freedoms, the first freedom that people should pursue is sexual freedom because without it, all the other freedoms are illusory and unreal, not ultimate, short-lived, and ineffective solutions. Sexual freedom is both primal and ultimate. In other words, sexual freedom is the core of all freedoms and the others are marginal. To pursue freedom, the first one to pursue is always sexual. What is sexual freedom? When it comes to sex, we should not narrowly restrict it to male and female sexual intercourse. Master Bodhidharma clearly pointed out in his Bloodstream sermon that nature, same word as sex in Chinese, is Buddha. When someone has sexual freedom, they are Buddha. Therefore, the meaning of sexual freedom is to be able to exist and live fully according to the Creator's intention. According to Chanyuan values, it means having the ability to exist and live according to the way of nature. For example, to see with one's eyes is a freedom of human nature. Eyes are for seeing, so if their function to do that were forbidden, that would be restricting and depriving one's freedom of nature. If one is prohibited from singing when they want to, they would lose some of their freedom of nature. Another example is that everyone has reproductive organs with purposes. They are not only used for excretion and procreation, but also for enjoying sexual pleasure. Restricting one's enjoyment of sexual pleasure is restricting their nature. If one fully enjoys sexual pleasure, it can be said that they have gained sexual freedom. There will always be those who, whenever sexual freedom is mentioned, will immediately think of sexual openness, carnalism, debauchery, lewdness, promiscuity, pimps, sluts, adulterers, fornication, and the like. These are purely assumptions and imaginings of the savage and foolish, or the expected understandings of men with brutish natures. Sexual freedom is the artistic blooming and enjoyment of the nature of the civilized, not the delicacy of scrambling barbarians. Some people attribute AIDS and other STDs, family breakdowns, and similar consequences to sexual freedom, but this is the same as attributing diseases to food, which makes no sense. If you compare sexual freedom to flying, you cannot deny or travel because planes have crashed. It can be said that other freedoms can only exist after sexual freedom has been obtained. Without sexual freedom, those others are empty talk. One's degree of life quality is closely related to their level of freedom. The higher their quality of life, the greater their freedom. When we look at nature, we find that animals are freer than plants. We are freer than animals. Celestials and Buddha are freer than us, and gods are freer than celestials and Buddha. To pursue freedom, we must first pursue sexual freedom. However, if one does not perfect their soul garden and does not possess the qualities of sincerity, kindness, beauty, love, faith, and honesty, then they absolutely cannot enjoy sexual freedom. In short, people cannot enjoy sexual freedom fully. This is determined by the quality of our species. If anyone can truly enjoy sexual freedom, congratulations, you are no longer a human being. You have elevated yourself to the status of a celestial or beyond. 知音哪里找? Where to find a bosom friend? Xiefeng, March 2nd, 2020. Translated by Chinyu and edited by Bandy. Where can one find a bosom friend? It's so hard to find a bosom friend in life. One true bosom friend is enough for a lifetime. It is easier to make a lot of money and be rich, but very difficult to find a bosom friend. One may have many friends but has no bosom friend. A bosom friend is very rare, like a gem. You cannot ask nor work to get it. There was no traveler on the ancient road till I met you in the cold mountains. The smile for seeing you is still on my face. We are saying farewell and weeping in a twinkle. Late at night in the candle light with your company is like dreaming. A bosom friend far away brings a distant land near. Without any word, my heart is drunk. No need for wine. Feel my heart. You will know how deep my memories are. In a watery region, I have nothing to give you as a memorial, so I will give you a plum blossom. In memory of Zhongziki, Boya won't play any music again. These are visions of a bosom friend. Where can we find a bosom friend? We cannot find a bosom friend in the official, business place, casino, or battlefields. No bosom friend can be found among family, friendship, friends, classmates, or colleagues. No bosom friend can be found in political parties, religious organizations, family, relatives, various groups. We cannot find a bosom friend in contracts, agreements, courts, markets, or bars. In a word, wherever interests are entangled, no bosom friend can be found. Where is my bosom friend? Bosom friend is in your life channel, in your soul, in your spirit, and in your happily playing with your friends. Bosom friend is like a flower. You can only appreciate it. You never pluck it. Bosom friend is like water. You follow its flow and should not set standards for it. A bosom friend is elegant, free, and unrestrained. We should never have the desire to possess them. Bosom friend is like honey, sweet and mellow. It can only be sweet in the soul. in the spirit, and shouldn't be contaminated with a trace of dust. Absolutely beautiful things can only be enjoyed by absolutely beautiful lives. If we do not reach an absolutely beautiful state, it will never be possible for us to enjoy the nourishment of a bosom friend. We cannot beg for a bosom friend. We cannot buy a bosom friend. We cannot keep them by relationship, and we cannot kidnap them in the name of love. A bosom friend features an abundance of affection, but we should not attach to affection. Since times immemorial, affectionate people always suffer the most emotionally. Once you don't see each other for many days, you start to realize the place where you have spared from or maybe drunken stupor. The riverside is strewn with willow trees. The morning breeze wafts in with a waning moon. All day long, I expect you, but somehow, you are not back. Flower petals drifting, water flowing. I haven't seen you for so long. The Xiang River looks boundless, cut, severed and sorted. Messier still, this is the parting woe. Bosom friends are rare in the world. Only abound in Chanyuan. Clambered up the snowy peak and looked over the rivers. The mountain flowers are blooming. 连点赞都不给你好吝啬. You are stingy without giving likes. Xiefeng. February 19th, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Bandy. There are more than 200 contacts on my WeChat. Every time when I forward or post an article, very few people like the article. People who always like the articles are only 30. The other 170 people never likes. The Bible says in the Gospel of Matthew 11:16 and 17. But what comparison may I make of this generation? It is like children seated in the marketplaces, crying out to one another and saying, "We made music for you, and you did not take part in the dance. We gave cries of sorrow, and you made no signs of grief." I am the incarnation of Jesus, and I will describe this passage of Jesus in a plain and simple way again. How should I describe you? I sang for you, you didn't clap your hands. I offered you a spiritual feast, and you didn't make any response. Is it so difficult to give a like? Giving a like won't make you pregnant or turn you into a pig. Since you are in contact with me, it proves that it is predestined, there is friendship between us. Since you have not deleted me, it proves that you are still willing to keep in touch with me. Why not give me a like from time to time? Even if you give me a like once in a week or once after 10 of my articles, at least I can know that you are still alive through the likes. Do you know why you are not willing to give me a like? The answer is stingy. You lack spiritual and soul wealth, indifferent, or you are no longer in this world. If you don't want to dedicate as much as lifting a finger, do you think you can have a bright future? Giving likes does not necessarily mean that you agree with the value and contents of the articles your friends forwarded. It is just an expression of, I care about you. Our beautiful future is accumulated by giving and dedication. If you are too stingy to give likes to friends, can you imagine how far you have fallen? Think about it carefully. When one day you are in trouble and no one come to help you, and when you reincarnate in the plant or animal world and unable to speak, don't blame the greatest creator for being unfair. That's because you are too stingy to give a like to friend, not to mention to offer other help. 微信群里大都是强奸犯. People mostly are rapists in the WeChat groups. Xiefeng. March 8th, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Bandy. What's the day today on Earth? So many WeChat groups. The epidemic howling again. The crowds are frantic with dreadful and painful memories. Daily routine should be the same. Only that the mind has changed already. How idle are you? Drifting in the WeChat groups all day. I have been in many WeChat groups, but I quit from them one by one. Why? Because I was raped by WeChat group friends. For example, when I joined a new WeChat group, I firstly said greetings and blessings to all friends here. As a result, very few people responded. In a group of nearly 500 people, almost no one paid attention to me. I was confused. Are they all dead here? There is no echo in this empty valley, just like a tomb will not respond back to me. Anyhow, I will stay and see what are people doing here. As a result, I was bombarded indiscriminately. The WeChat group is fishier than the seafood market. What is in the seafood market is at least something from the water, but the WeChat group is like a rubbish shopping mall with everything in it, which is dazzling and dizzying. There are Big God, Main Buddha, bricklaying specialist, same pronunciation as expertise in Chinese, superior. Teachings of every religion and system of philosophy, Taoist magic. Those are from heaven, underground, water, mountains, history, current, philosophy, technology, even from the gutter. Everything you can imagine, especially those superiors, they are very clever, cleverer than Mr. Clever, than the village named Very Clever. They are all masters, level figures, big shit, same pronunciation as big master in Chinese, whom I do not dare to provoke, and I cannot afford to. I observed it carefully for a long time, and finally discovered the mystery. The WeChat group is a place for people who have nothing to do but to show their existence. They all talk to themselves, feel good about themselves, arrogant, self-conscious, making aimless judgment, incapable of doing great things, but don't want to do small things, having strong feelings of I am the number one in the world. If I can't do it, who can? Very bored but want to be blockbusters and all-powerful big shots. Why did I say that I was raped? Because whether I like it or not, people throw the fragmented things that they think are good toward my retina. And at this moment, they want me to go with the Buddha. Another moment, they want me to follow Jesus. For a while, they ask me to follow the party. Another while, they ask me to follow Tao. I was confused and lost. Don't know where to go. What's more, lots of small pictures were piled up before me, whether I like it or not. Isn't this rape? In the WeChat group, what I fear most is not the above, but the teachings of high morals. Using the most beautiful words, they taught me how to be a human being, how to improve my spirituality, how to become a Buddha, how to live forever, how to win the universe. They even taught me how to walk, whether I should take my left foot first or the right foot first. Your grandpa. You have said all good things. I guess you have also done all bad things. What do you call this? This is called moral kidnapping, belief kidnapping, positive energy kidnapping. Looking back on my past, I found that I am not a good person myself. I have also done this before. No wonder some people call me preach, someone call me a shrew, and some suspect that the purpose of my hype on the internet to promote life genuine is to cheat money and sex. Thinking about it, it seems really this case. I saw countless people are following in my footsteps. I am not good person, and you probably aren't good person either. Is there any good stuff in the WeChat group? The answer is yes, there is, but very rare. It is harder to find good thing here than to find diamonds in the forest. A WeChat group must be a place for the exchange of ideas and emotions. If a WeChat group is not for communication, but to show off, to spread and peddle your garbage ideas and garbage works, and to transfer thing that you don't understand from one group to another, to copy a large number of small pictures, then the WeChat group is a tragedy. If you don't believe me, check yourself. People who always talk about gods and deities are in the WeChat group. People who are brainless are checking WeChat group all day long. All people who have nothing to do are muddling along in WeChat group. All people who goof around and want to make troubles are in WeChat group. People who love quarrels are in WeChat group. Crooks are in WeChat group. People who want to be a blockbuster are in WeChat group. And people who want to pick up treasure and garbage dump are also in WeChat group. I have said so many bad things about WeChat group. In fact, WeChat groups have a powerful function, that is, its high speed of information dissemination, especially when disseminating of scandals. If you are not careful enough, you might be drowned by the spit of WeChat groups. WeChat group is also a monster revealing mirror. Gods, Buddhas, angels, bodhisattva and demons, ghosts, spirits, all are performing and will all in the end show their original forms in WeChat groups. And their followers will also go to their ways. The cattle enter their bull pen. The pigs enter their pig pen, and the mice dig their holes. WeChat group, I am afraid of you. You occupy a lot of my precious time. You deprive me of the right to be filial to the elderly, to take care of the children and to delve into learning. You have transformed me into a walking corpse with indigestion, and you have made a lot of strange animals like parrots who can only copy others' words. You also have made me a lonely depression patient in a very busy place. I must run away from you quickly. Hiding in my building. Who cares what season it is? I am going to have fun. 疫情形势下慢聊人生. Life in the crisis of the pandemic. Xiefeng. February 8th, 2020. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Care. Under the outbreak of a large-scale pandemic, doctors, Nurses and morticians have the most difficult and dangerous jobs. They are like running back and forth on a death line every day. A moment of inattention, and one might become infected and taken away by the king of hell. It has been found that the three occupations listed above are high-risk ones. From now on, we will have deep respect for workers in these three fields. We find that in extreme situations, freelancers who can change their living situations at any time according to their needs are the safest, while civil servants, soldiers, police, employees of state-owned enterprises, medical workers, and the like, who are the nuts and bolts of the state machine, do not enjoy the right to choose freely where they will work. They can only bite the bullet, whether they like it or not. It turns out that freelancing is often the best way to live our lives. The virus broke out and many people fell. Yesterday, they might have been planning for their futures with ambition. Today, everything suddenly collapsed. They themselves even disappeared. No one knows what will happen tomorrow. In this case, we should live every day well. Any behavior or motivation that deliberately weighs the pros and cons are worthless in the face of future changes. What do people rely on for a lifetime? Their state? Their political party? Their religion? Their family? Their friends and relatives? No, none are reliable. The only things that one can trust in are the greatest creator and themselves. Where is the safest place? A city? A rural area? At home? Abroad? Nowhere is safe. The safest place is in the quality, merits, and blessings of your own life. Mankind's fate is destined, but the fates of those who revere the greatest creator and walk the way of the greatest creator can be changed. The fate of human society is also doomed. Read Lou Bowen's inscription of Rescue of Catastrophe, then relate it to the status quo of today's pandemic. We know that everything is predestined. However, if one walks along the roadmap of life genuine, today's catastrophes can be avoided, even reversed. 10 years ago, I warned repeatedly of the crises that mankind will face and created the modern Noah's Ark for mankind, the new oasis for life, formerly the second home. But not many people listened to me, let alone followed me. Not only did the government not listen to me, but they even attempted to destroy my Noah's Ark. Not only did people not support it, but they ridiculed, satired, mocked, attacked, and verbally abused it. Now, as people face various crises helplessly and are worrying with fear on the verge of death, I want to ask them, why do you not act according to the will of the greatest creator? Why do you not listen to the teachings of gods, Buddhas, and celestials? Do you think that you can escape punishment and death by power, money, or academic status? Laugh not so early and be not complacent about your relative safety today. More violent events will strike you later. Heaven exists, so why not go there? You seem to prefer your fast track to hell? If you do not believe in heaven's existence, the new oasis for life production and life mode created by Life Genuine is right under your noses. It is alive, so why not believe in it? Even if you do not believe the facts in front of you, what else do you believe? Everyone ages, so what is the best way to do it healthily? When a husband and wife are aging together, no one can take care of them. Is this not sad? Even if you can go to a quality nursing home, even if you have children to take care of you, and even if you enjoy elderly benefits like the ones that are offered in Canada, even the world's best old age care methods cannot be compared to those of the new Oasis for Life. They are substantially different. Their benefits cannot be described in tens of thousand words. Why do you not praise them and yearn for them? Today is the Lantern Festival, where the flower market is as bright as daytime. Where is the scene of thousands of doors opened, lanterns lit, the capital boiling in the Lantern Festival of January, countless palace ladies dancing sleeve dances, and the music of singing and dancing straight to the sky? Is it now the whole people? It is the Lantern Festival in my hometown now. I am sitting in a remote, lonely village. Can you still hear firecrackers exploding? Can you still see children laughing and playing games? Can you still smile and laugh for the joyful scenes of girls searching for their favorite people under the lanterns and of, when the moon hung behind the willows, the young people went on dates under it? But in the crowd once and again, I look for her in vain, when all at once I turn my head and find her where lantern light is dimly shed? Where are the good old days? Who ruined our good times? Will next year's Lantern Festival reappear with its past grandeur? Even if it does, can you guarantee that you will be there? People think that the most visionary people are in the United Nations and in the courts, but reality tells us that behind the red lacquered gates, wine is left to sour and meat to rot. And those who really care about the suffering of the people might be civil workers doing their jobs in society. 不要把自己看成一碟菜. Do not regard yourself as a dish. Xiefeng, April 5, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. Gaze up at the starry sky. The universe would still be brilliant with one star missing. Look at the river flowing. It would still surge forward with one stream missing. Recall history. The earth would still rotate if a sage were missing. Consider yourself. The world would still be happy without you. Be humble, low-key, ordinary, common, and do not regard yourself as a dish. Looking back at every landscape that I experienced on my journey through life, I found that many people descended sadly because they took themselves as a dish. Zhang Guitao, one of the founders of the Communist Party of China, was once the vice chairman of the central government of the Chinese Soviet Republic. He was the leader of the Red Fourth Army and commanded 100,000 soldiers. What a powerful pillar of talent and command. He finally froze to death in a shabby nursing home in a suburb of Toronto, Canada. Why? Because he took himself as a dish. When the Central Red Army led by Mao Zedong and the Fourth Red Army under his leadership joined forces, Mao had only slightly more than 10,000 soldiers left while Zhang had more than 100,000 elite soldiers. Zhang felt that he should be the boss and he began looking down upon Mao. So their strife, both covert and overt, began. Zhang finally left the party central committee, left the collective, and his ending was very sad. Genius is born and Mao was placed here by the greatest creator. Though Mao was sometimes impoverished, his courage, bearing, and foresight could not be compared to the elites of his age. When Mao's comrades took themselves as dishes, their tragedies became inevitable. Life at Chanyuan has been through 17 springs and autumns, and many members who regarded themselves as dishes have left it along the way. Originally more than 2,000 Chanyuan Celestials, now less than 200 or 300 remain. The remainder are all honest people who feel that they are not dishes, but it is precisely these remaining 200 or 300 Chanyuan Celestials who have witnessed the history of the development of life at Chanyuan, and they have enjoyed the stunning scenery of their journeys through life and life. In 1994, I drove a dilapidated, open-top Jeep through the jungle alone in the Binga region of northern Matabeleland province, Zimbabwe. As I entered a small town, a large group of people gathered around a drunken native and yelled at him. As I arrived, he rushed over to me and shouted, "This is my boss. This is my boss." As he pointed his index finger toward me, I felt that my dignity had been violated, so I replied loudly and sternly, "I am not your boss. I am not your boss. Stop." The drunken guy meant to flatter me, but he was criticized by me, so he walked away a little grimacingly. The booing people laughed at him, but on the other hand, they seemed to be calling me an unworthy creature. I later became annoyed and regretted it. My attitude had been so ugly. I could have befriended the guy, danced with him, and made everyone happy, but at that time, I thought that I was awesome and I felt like I was a dish and became humiliated later as a result. This incident left me with an indelible memory, still vivid after a quarter century. I became wiser after that incident and learned much from it. My biggest lessons were to never regard myself as a dish and to never look down on a seemingly ordinary person. Even if you encounter a beggar, treat them with courtesy and definitely never consider yourself superior. I had not yet learned Laozi's Tao Te Ching at that time. Had I learned it, it would have been all glare tempered, all dust smoothed, and I would never have made such a low-level mistake. Never look down on an ordinary person. Never leave the collective, the masses, or the main group, and never regard yourself as a dish. When you think that you are superior and are not willing to associate with honest, simple, and ordinary people, no matter how freaking awesome you are actually nothing more than flatulence in the breeze. 你被像所迷了. Are you puzzled by form? Xiefeng, August 6, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. Buddha said that everything with form is unreal. All that is void of form is Buddha. Buddha also said not to abide our minds in form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or dharma, but to actually abide nowhere. The article, The Xiefeng pirate ship has set sail, frightened a Buddhist student. Reading the expressions beauty kidnappers and love affair makers seemed as a change of color. Reading seducing and flirting scared the wits out of the student. Who is the one professed love of what one actually fears? Puzzled by names and forms without seeing their essence. Puzzled by dharma without seeing the law. A bowl of bird's nest porridge, whether it is called horse urine or dog shit soup, is still nutritious bird's nest porridge. Whether you call celestials vulgar or elegant, they are still celestials. Tao that can be described is not absolute Tao. Names that can be given are not absolute names. Buddha has no absolute dharma, but Buddha's dharma always varies according to the situation. When the highest type of followers hears Tao, the truth, they try hard to live in accordance with it. When mediocre types hear Tao, they seem to be aware and yet unaware of it. When the lowest types hear Tao, they break into loud laughter. If it is not laughed at, it is not Tao. When they do not command faith, some will lose faith in them. Those who lack faith in Xiefeng will find many other things with which to lack faith. Mere humans are always obstructed by their own ideas. Sophisticates are always fascinated by names and forms, alas. The vulgar are knowing and luminous. I alone am confused and dull. The vulgar are clever and self-assured. I alone am depressed. 生命禅院导游写风是个屁. Xiefeng is a fart. Xiefeng, June 29, 2020. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Care. A thing's value is judged according to its usefulness. If no one needs it, it is as a fart. For some people, certain things are supreme treasures, but for others, they are as good as farts. I gave a pig a bowl of pearls. Not only did it fail to thank me, but it also indicated that what I gave it was worse than a fart. I gave a lamb a bowl of braised pork. Not only did it not show any gratitude, but it also accused me of disrespect. I gave a donkey a piece of gold. Not only was it not impressed, but it even kicked me. As I passed a grand ancestral worship ceremony in a village one day, many people were prostrating themselves and kowtowing. I asked a standing man who was watching at the ceremony why he failed to join them. He said that it was for their ancestors, but to me it was just a fart. Or one day I asked a young man in Africa if he knew who the first president of the United States was. He said that he only knew the presidents of his country and that the presidents of other countries meant shit to him. No matter how precious things are, how great and important people are, in the eyes of people who do not need them, they are all farts. From this, I came to a conclusion. Life Genuine Xiefeng is a fart. This leads to another phenomenon, that farts are to be found everywhere. 不要活在当下，要活在未来. Live in the future, rather than in the present. Xiefeng, August 29, 2020. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Care. The present is painful. Food, clothing, shelter, birth, old age, sickness, death, reciprocity, resentment, and hatred are all current troubles and pains. 9 out of 10 times, life is not as good as one wishes it were. Every family has their problems, and each individual has troubles. Troubles are not easily escaped. As we live in the complications of the human world, we have to adapt ourselves to changing circumstances. Every day, people either struggle on the line of death or spend their days worrying. Living in the present is like living in a sea of bitterness. Rooted in the present, our consciousnesses should live in the future because the future is the gathering place of our dreams, ideals, and fantasies. We can imagine the beauty of our future to our heart's content even if the reality is bitter and tired, even if it is terrible. As long as we let our consciousnesses live in an ideal state of the future, we can be optimistic, romantic, treat sad situations as temporary dreams, grit our teeth, and survive. Think about the beautiful futures that we plan. Think about the picturesque and free places in which we will live. Even if the sky falls, it is of no matter. Our past consciousnesses create our present realities. Similarly, our present ones can create better futures. According to the principle of visualized thinking, our futures are mainly created by our imaginations, so we can create our own ideal futures. In this case, why should we live in the present? Would it not be more comfortable to live in a future scenario that we can imagine? The only things that are impossible are those that cannot be imagined. If we live in the future, then we can imagine a better life to our heart's content. This is not AQ's way of winning spiritually. It is a way to get rid of difficulties and move towards a better future. We should find ways to make ourselves happy. I was born to a very ordinary peasant family, but my consciousness often lives in the future where thinking about it makes me happy. Many things that I imagined in the past have become my reality today. So I learned the technique of living in the future. I can rest assured that my future will be as thrilling and beautiful as I want it to be. When I live on the island of Balikia on the Celestial Islands continent ahead of time, all of my confusion and worries will be gone, as will my anxieties, concerns, and fears. How stupid it is to live in the present. Live in the future. As long as you live in your imagination of a better future, you will find that the present is a dream. Try to see how it works. 意识与疾病的关系探讨 The relationship between consciousness and disease. Xiefeng, September 15, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. If someone get ill, something must be wrong with their consciousness. Let us compare Bangladesh with Switzerland. Bangladesh is characterized as being dirty, disorderly, and poor. Switzerland is characterized as being clean, orderly, and wealthy. There is a great difference between the two countries in terms of environmental sanitation, where the mountains, rivers, earth, streets, and lanes in Bangladesh originally filthy and those in Switzerland pristine? Of course not. The problem lies in the collective consciousness of the local people. The Bengalis have never cared about their environmental sanitation, so their environment is filthy, but the Swiss have always paid close attention to theirs, so it is pristine. We will find the same facts and reasons when we go to your neighborhood, and we will find that some families are neat and clean with few mosquitoes and flies, while others are filthy and have many of them. If you want to know the reason, the problem lies in the family's consciousnesses, which has little to do with material wealth, occupations, or even education. From this, we must infer that human bodies are environments, and if they are unclean and unmaintained, then they will have diseases. Does the problem come from other people in society? There is no doubt that there is a problem with the consciousness that is in charge of the environment of the body, and it can only be concluded that if someone is sick, then something has to be wrong with their consciousness. The story of mistaking the shadow of a bough in one's cup for a snake is known throughout China. Du Xian accepted a drink from a county magistrate. After he returned home, he felt abnormal with unbearable pain in his abdomen, and he could hardly eat or drink. Later, after he realized that the snake he thought he had seen in his cup was only the shadow of a bough hanging on the wall, that there had never been any snake in his cup, his illness cleared up immediately. Is this not a typical consciousness problem? It shows that human diseases are all too often caused by the consciousness. Someone felt just a little bit uncomfortable, but they went to a hospital to be examined and were informed that they were suffering from late-stage cancer. After returning home, they fell ill. Their symptoms were like those of cancer. They became desperate, and everyone in their family began preparing for their hospitalization. They went to the hospital again to get more test results and found out that it was only a cold. As for the late stage of cancer, that was just a mistake from reading someone else's chart. After hearing the news, the patient, who was lying in bed and could hardly walk, suddenly jumped up and went home laughing. There have been many such cases. What do they show? They show that many human diseases are made by our consciousnesses. When people are angry and outraged, their hands will tremble, their lips will turn purple, and they will even shiver uncontrollably. Their hands and lips are normal in the beginning. So why would there be trembling and purple coloration? Because their consciousness is angry and outraged. If there is no anger or rage in their consciousness, then their hands will not tremble and their lips will not turn purple. This proves that the physical causes of diseases come from people's consciousnesses. We can continue to infer logically the reasons that consciousnesses lead to diseases, but we have read enough. Conscious illnesses can lead to physical ones. If the above logical reasoning fails, then just observe the people who get ill often. If you observe them carefully, you will see that there are many problems in their consciousnesses. They often share personality traits such as passivity, negativity, pessimism, persistence, jealousy, judgmentality, being nosy, a tendency to gossip, worry, fanciful thinking, selfishness, greed, desires to dominate, quarrelsomeness, individualism, wanting to punish others, easiness to anger, hate, depression, difficulties sublimating themselves, having heart knots but with reluctance to speak out honestly, and so on. At the same time, let us observe those who are healthy and rarely get sick. What are their characteristics? Are they not open-minded, optimistic, romantic, selfless, giving, praising, laughing, and so forth? Listen to this. Some people feign illnesses to escape labor, to avoid a person or environment, to punish others by abusing themselves, or just to obtain the pity and sympathy of others. Children feign illnesses to avoid going to school, and the same holds true for adults. The severity of the problem is that people who pretend to be ill often are sick in their minds to the point where over time, their bodies actually become ill. Another phenomenon of people falling ill is giving unhealthy information to their subconscious minds, such as speaking from their hearts. I really want to lie in bed and have some fucking rest. After you give your subconscious this instruction, it will mobilize all factors to give you some rest, such as an injury, a fracture, the stomach swelling, headaches, accidents, cuts from knives, and so forth. In other words, their subconsciousness will not lie idle, but will help realize that desire to lie in bed. One of the Life Genuine values is living in the new oasis for life. One is not allowed to fall ill. Why have you fallen ill? Should you not reflect on it? It has been explained so clearly in the roadmap, but have you followed it? For example, have you thought of the prayers for Chanyuan celestials who live in the home and prayed every day? I have asked you to frequently participate in flirting. Have you done so? Have you done so to eradicate the poisonous weeds in your soul garden, to be more selfless, and so on? I am sorry that not only do I fail to comfort the sick, but even sprinkle salt on their wounds. But as a guide, my being a truth teller is a fact that cannot be ignored. Of course, some people's diseases are congenital and come from their births. They are in their genetic sequence, which they can do nothing about because every congenital disease carrier bears the consequences of their last life, so they can only bite their bullets and bear them. To tell you the truth, every life in heaven is free from diseases. To say goodbye to diseases forever, you should do more good deeds, accumulate more merits, and walk strictly in accordance with the roadmap given to you by your spiritual guide. 所有抱怨都没道理. No complaints make sense. Xiefeng. September 23, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. All complainers are confused in their brains. Those who complain do not understand the truth. A girl entered a food store and asked the shopkeeper for a bag of rat poison. I'm sorry, replied the manager, but this is a food store and we don't sell rat poison. The girl complained. Why do you not sell rat poison? You made my trip for nothing. There was a rabbit who had been looking throughout a cornfield all day to find some carrots to eat without finding any, so it complained, humans do not care about us. Why do they not grow carrots in their cornfields? There was a worker who, seeing his boss driving their Mercedes-Benz to work every day, complained, the world is unfair. Why should he drive to work in his Benz while I have to take crowded buses every day? A wife complained to her husband, your former classmates have all become directors of divisions and directors general, while you are not even a section chief. I am ashamed of you. Her husband complained back, others' wives are so sensible. Only you criticize me every day. A social media netizen who entered a special flirting group hung around for a long time and then complained. There is no preaching and talking of scriptures or Tao here. Neither are there cooking skills or healthcare experiences. How can you all be so boring? A man came to a dictator's paradise and complained, there is no democratic atmosphere here. Why should he always have the final say in everything and disregard the public's opinions? It is grossly unfair. One came to the prairie and complained, I like climbing mountains, but there are no mountains here, which disappoints me a lot. After careful analysis, it is found that the head of any complainer must have been kicked by a donkey, their brain has short-circuited, or their mom must have mistaken a contraceptive for a cold medicine. I once complained until I finally found out that I might have entered the wrong room, taken my wife's sister as my wife, taken snakes as dragons, or become sworn brothers with pigs. Have you ever complained? What do you do when someone keeps on complaining around you? My experience is to pay them no attention because they are unreasonable and enjoy making trouble out of nothing. The more you care about it, the more trouble you will have. We can only lend deaf ears to them. Of course, you can laugh in your heart, laugh at this person who must have gotten up on the wrong side of their bed or their neurological synapses have opened, so that this kind of complaining will not hurt you, make you unpleasant, or anger you to explode. 做人不要追求公正公平. As people, we should not pursue justice and fairness. Zufeng, October 9th, 2020. Translated by Chinyu and edited by Care. As a person, it is a mistake to pursue justice and fairness in life. I have lived in China, Africa, Oceania with Aboriginal people, and now in North America. During the 20 years of building Life at Genuine, I finally found that life itself is very just and fair and that no one is wronged. Therefore, it is known that Tao is most just and fair, that the fairness and justice pursued by people are unnecessary, and that it is not only redundant, but also creates inequality and trouble. He lives in a villa, driving a luxury car while I live in a thatched house without even a bike. This is unfair, someone said. I said, what you see is unfair, but people are suffering from cancer and diabetes. Is it also unfair that you have neither? If someone has cancer, would it be fairer if you shared it? Others were imprisoned and their properties were confiscated. Would it not be fairer if you were also locked away? Is it not unfair that people have been living in heaven, but you have to live in this world? Since you seek fairness, why do you not keep your faith unchanged, make constant contributions, and stick to truth, goodness, beauty, love, faith, honesty, and peace even while suffering, enduring hardships, and in distress like others? It might be unfair for the Tang monk to become a Buddha but for you to not. But then why did you hide in your comfort zone and not go through adventures as the Tang monk went through his hardships? I wanted to create a new oasis for life in the island country of Vanuatu, but I found that although the indigenous people lead simple lives, not only were they lazy, but they were also greedy. They did not want to pay, but just wanted to get, and they were short-sighted. Finally, I gave up the idea of building a new oasis for life there. I lived in Africa for more than 10 years. Not only is Africa beautiful, but it is also rich. So why is it still poor and backward? This is a human problem. People are too greedy and keen on petty theft. If all they want is to get something for nothing, then how can they not remain poor and backward? I have lived in China for most of my life. Primitive African tribes still maintain their simplicity, but that of the Chinese people has all but disappeared. Everyone has become very shrewd. Not only the city people, but even those in the remotest villages have become very shrewd. Moreover, most Chinese are generally not grateful. Not only do they not pay their debts of gratitude, but they also think about how to take their benefactors' things as their own, such as how they treat the United States. How much welfare has the United States brought to China? Not to mention the Tsinghua University and Peking Union Medical College Hospital, which were built with American aid. The United States trained several million scientific, technological, and entrepreneurial management talents for China. Now, everyone uses mobile phones that are patented in the United States, let alone electric lights, HD TVs, supermarkets, and much, much more. Have we been grateful for this? Not only have we been ungrateful, but we have also scolded the United States to death. Everyone studies mathematics, physics, chemistry, and biology, but from where have we gotten the knowledge of these disciplines? All are from the West. On one hand, we enjoy the welfare of others, but on the other one, we scold them. Is it smart, ignorant, or ungrateful? In addition, if we look at social media groups, we find that almost everyone is a judge and a master. We draw conclusions and judge people with no deep understanding of them. We regard ourselves masters and try to guide others after we have learned very little spiritual understanding. People accuse the government of being autocratic, but the reality is that everyone is really that way. Even beggars want to dictate and rule over other beggars. Are Chinese parents not autocratic dictators over their children? Between married couples, do both not try to rule and dictate over each other? So, the status of the indigenous people of Africa and China shows nothing about unjustness or unfairness. From the creation of Life at Genuine to the new oasis for life, I have found that China is suffering from severe disasters, but what about the inequities created by everyone? Each generation must eat the bitter fruit left from the previous one, and no one can escape that. What about the life mode of the new oasis for life? Who can say that it is not good? The government wants to destroy it, but to where would they wish to take our people? Can you sit down and argue with Xiefeng? China has 90 million Communist Party members, each of whom swore to fight for the realization of communism throughout their lifetimes. But have they praised the emergence of the communist seedling on the Chinese earth? Have they encouraged it, or are they the ones who professed love of what they actually feared? Are the common people pursuing better lives? What kind of good life are you pursuing? Is it better than those within the new oasis for life of Life-Chanuan? People, cheating yourself is enough. Do not try to cheat and anesthetize others. We are all Chinese. We know each other. This is it. After living in North America for several years, I feel that it offers the best life for me, though I have no love for capitalism, nor do I recognize that the American and Canadian lifestyle is the most ideal one for mankind, but Westerners enjoy more than any others in any other part of the world. It is not unjust or unfair, but determined by people's quality. People talk about the decline of the United States, the rise of the East, and the 21st century being the one for China, but it seems so absurd to me. I have nothing to say to those people who are mentally masturbating so absurdly. What are unrealistic dreams? The ones that people are having now come pretty close. Everything happening on Earth is fair and just. The status quo of each country is, and everyone's present situation is. The ancestor of Buddha, the greatest creator, has never wronged any nationality, any country, or any person. Therefore, people should not pursue justice and fairness because no one can create either one. 让自己的认知大厦全然坍塌. Let your cognitive building collapse completely. Xiefeng, October 12, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. If you believe that your cognitive abilities are the most profound in the world, then stick to them. Tell everyone what you know all at once, and shine a light on all who are groping through the darkness. If we find someone whose cognitive abilities surpass ours, then let us collapse our building projects, abandon all the theories that we believe to be correct, and let us serve that one. The process of serving others is that of self-accomplishment and of realizing our own ideals. Religious complexes and worshiping will inject strong energy and vitality into oneself. When I worship the ancestor of Buddha, the greatest creator, Jesus, Shakyamuni, Laozi, and Guanyin Bodhisattva, I gain a new self. Since then, my life has entered a new channel. It can be said that I have been reborn. Were it not for my worshiping from inner piety, then my life path would still be dark gray. Have you ever cried with joy or experienced a state of extreme calm when you were so excited that you forgot yourself completely and you were willing to surrender yourself completely to the object of your worship? If your answer is yes, then congratulations, because you have experienced worshiping. Is there any person throughout history whom you admire? If not, then congratulations, for you are the greatest person who has ever lived. If you are not that person but have no object of worship, then sadly, you are either a poor spirit who knows not the immensity of the universe, or at least a confused individual with an unclear mind. I am neither the greatest person in the world nor the one with the most profound cognitive ability, but along my way, I have not met anyone other than Jesus, Sakyamuni, Muhammad, Pbup, and Laozi. Guanyin Bodhisattva is not a human, whom I am willing to worship. This is my sorrow, my ignorance, and it is sad not to be able to see skies beyond skies and mountains beyond mountains. The happiest people in the world are those who have dedicated their lives to the objects of worship. I am one of the happiest people because I have entrusted my life to the greatest creator and my life to Tao. Now, I have nothing else to do. The rest is to find fun and play. Play whatever is playful. There is little to do except play. It has been said that we are living in the Dharma-ending age and that a saint named Ziwei will come to save us. This Ziwei saint is both the returning Christ and the next life of Maitreya, and I am looking forward eagerly to the advent of this saint. It would be a blessing to meet this holy soul once during my lifetime, and I must have burned incense in a previous life. However, this saint must meet 3 conditions upon arriving. The saint must have a systematic theory to provide us with a theoretical standard to follow no matter what we do. Otherwise, even if he or she walks on water, flies through the clouds, and demonstrates 64 supernatural powers. Sorry, they are not the saint. The saint must have nothing. No money, neither on their person nor in bank accounts, and no material possessions except for clothing. Once they possess anything material, then I am sorry to say that they are not the saint. The saint must have set an example for people, whether it is by a personal quality model or by their leading people to create a convincing and replicable mode. They must have at least accomplished some ideal cause. Otherwise, even if they can preach scriptures, integrate all theories, and have hundreds of millions of disciples, then they are not the saint. It is nothing more than a dream to depend on talking to realize a world of the great harmony of the unification of all thoughts and all beliefs into the greatest Creator's will, and all religions into one uniform belief system in which the talented are entrusted with important missions that the whole world can be united as a single family. Give us an example. If the above three conditions cannot be met, then it is honestly suggested that the Z-Way saint should stay in the sky. Otherwise, if he or she and others were to come down, then they would not even be able to pass my tests. I have many schoolmates from my middle school, technical school, college, and university, but I cannot see any of them as having extraordinary ideas and realms because they are all merely drifting along. It is okay for them to do this, but most of them believe that they are knowledgeable with much cognitive ability and are so quick to deny others' opinions, just as the pig who saw monkeys darting up and down a tree and sneered, those poor monkeys do not even have a fixed nest. You see how happy and comfortable we pigs are. We have nests and people to feed us every day. In the past few years, I have met a lot of very knowledgeable people through social media groups on the web. At first, they gave me good impressions, but after communicating with many of them for a while, I found that most just feel good about themselves and consider themselves to be masters. Every day, in addition to selling their insights, they are busy within their web groups, rarely settling down to read the classics or about the apocalypse, but seldom do they do any practical work. Those so-called insights are not the result of their own life perceptions, but are just some borrowed wisdom from others with some small ornaments of their own that they have added in. Even so, those insights were not worth refuting at all because most of them have indicated elusive thinking. Many people are lovely, amiable, and respectable, but are not on the right track. I look at them and think, if you collapse all your cognition structure, it would be great. Heaven is not without roads and gates. The problem is that you insist that you are right, so you cannot see them or even the way to them. I would like to share this couplet, which was composed by Luoyin Celestial of Life-Echanuan. While hearts abide nowhere, then everywhere is in wonderland. If love attaches to no one, then any time is ethereal. Ethereal wonderland. 从情检测自己的生命层次 Testing one's life level according to their love. Xiefeng, November 11th, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. Every level of life has its own corresponding level of love which is different from all others. We can all examine our own loves to determine whether they are terrestrial or celestial. If your love troubles you and makes you miserable, then it is terrestrial. If it pleases you, then it is celestial. If your love only includes one partner throughout your life, then it is terrestrial. The more lovers you include, the more you demonstrate celestial love. If the object of your love is fixed, then it is terrestrial. If you follow your destiny and nature, then it is celestial. If you are jealous because your lover has feelings for others, then your love is terrestrial. If you are happy that your lover loves many, then it is celestial. If you find love to be divisive and that the more lovers your lover has, the less they will have for you, then yours is terrestrial. If you know that your love is in line with cosmic holography, then no matter how many partners you love, every one of them will be complete and your love is celestial. If you want to control, guide, train, and make your lover behave according to your standards, then your love is terrestrial. If you give your lover full freedom, then it is celestial. If you want to be inseparable from, pester, and always be with the object of your love, then your love is terrestrial. If you have embedded the object of your love into your consciousness, then no matter whether you are far away from each other or you live together, they will still taste very sweet and your love is celestial. If you cannot be completely magnanimous about love, and you are hiding something, then your love is terrestrial. If you bear yourself open to love nakedly, then yours is celestial. Analyzing and determining the pattern and state of one's love can help them to understand the level of their life. If your love is terrestrial, then you must remain a human forever. If your love is celestial, then you are no longer a human being, but a celestial being, and you can go to the fairyland after your life's journey ends. 只有雪峰式共产主义才能解决这些问题. Only Xiefeng-style communism can solve these problems. Xiefeng, November 19, 2021. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Peter. Elderly care, singleness, marriage breakdown, official corruption, environmental pollution, children's education and protection, poisonous food, drug abuse, whoring, gambling, fraud, theft, robbery, the integrity crisis, corruption, bribery, domineering, etc. cannot be solved by relying on historical experience and current people's cognitive level, nor can it be solved by religious teachings such as Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, etc. It cannot be solved by the ideas of Mao Zedong, by the theories of Lao Tzu and Confucius, not to mention by learning from the West about the separation of three powers system. They can only be solved by Xiefeng-style communism. Here I will first tell you the fact that moral education is not as good as system construction, and a good system is better than any form of moral preaching. Elderly care is a major issue in China and the world. In the past, the issue of providing for the elderly was dependent on children. Now many Western countries rely on the welfare system formulated by the state. Whether it is relying on children or the welfare system, it is not the best way to provide for the aged. Nursing homes of all kinds are a very sad way of providing for the elderly. Caring for the elderly, allowing the elderly to live among the young and children, and to enjoy a comfortable life in their later years, is the best way to support the elderly. In this regard, Life Chanuan's second home has fully proved through 11 years of practice that the Xiefeng-style communist life is the best way to provide for the elderly. There are more and more single and divorced people, so how to solve their sex life problems? Let it go? Control it rigorously? Restrict by regulations? No matter what method is used, if the problem of sex life is not solved, there will inevitably be endless social problems. This problem can only be solved perfectly by the Xiefeng-style communist life mode, and it will hardly go wrong, including sexually transmitted diseases issues. There are more and more bachelors. Parents have no idea what to do. Neither can the bachelors themselves do anything about it. Should these people be left single for the rest of their lives? How can society solve this problem? There is no choice. The most satisfactory solution to this problem is to enter the Xiefeng-style communist society. The problem of official corruption has not been solved for thousands of years. There are more and more people who ride on the heads of the common people and accept the government's pay. They bully and oppress them while eating their food. This chronic social disease can only be eradicated by the Xiefeng-style communist life mode. It is because there are no officials in the Xiefeng-style communist life mode, and everyone is a laborer. People no longer need managers. Officials disappear, and the problem of official corruption caused by these officials also disappears. The issue of children's upbringing and education has become a collective matter, not a parent's matter anymore. Since children live in a collective, there is no possibility of abducting and selling children, and the phenomenon of children being spoiled, indulged, and misguided cannot happen. The Xiefeng-style communist life has proved through 11 years of practice with the children that the education and protection of the children can be described as flawless. In the Xiefeng-style communist life mode, stealing will become extinct because you have no place to store the things you steal, you cannot use them, and it is not necessary for you to steal other people's things at all.